Okay.
Let me get a water. Hold on.
Oh, fine. I'm so ready.
All right,
damn it.
we're all set. We're all set.
Oh, you got your water that quickly?
Yeah, it was right.
quick.
It was like right on the table over there. I just had to
Oh.
grab it, so it's
Oh,
right in
I
front
see.
of me now. Perfect.
Okay. Well, 3, 2, 1. Hello, freak bitches. I just wanted to stay in line with the motif of stealing other people's podcast quotes. Hello, everybody. We're Sardonicast. This is episode 3. Very special episode because now it is we have a majority in terms of which days we usually record on. So last episode, Ralph said we usually record on Tuesdays, but that was not true because we had only recorded once before. But now, now we usually record on Tuesdays. I'm Adam from Your Movie Sucks. Who's all here?
I'm Alex from I Hate Everything.
I'm Ralph from Ralph the Movie Maker. YouTube.com/Ralph the Movie Maker.
Ew.
Ew.
Gross.
Product placement. Yuck.
Well, it's not. It's our brand. I don't know. It's not really product
allowed.
placement if we're just describing who we are and what we do on our
I gotta
own
get something
podcast.
out of this. Come on.
All right. So there's a few things we wanted to talk about today. First off, Alex, what the fuck? You.
What did I do?
What did you do?
You
were the worst fucking game ever made.
Yeah. Somebody sent me a trailer of Hunt Down the Freeman. While I was streaming and got a pretty good reaction out of me, especially when your voice showed up in the trailer. I kind of lost it.
That video was excellent.
Yeah,
Like,
link
that's
in the
Alex?
description.
I haven't seen the trailer. I've only seen the actual game cutscenes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I
Oh, well, you're in the
play it.
trailer, so I'm sure.
I want to
yeah.
bring back
Is it really good?
Ralph the Let's Player for it,
Oh,
just to play it.
the trailer just
Is
kept
it
getting
really
worse
good?
and worse. It was one of those things where it's like, this looks kind of cheesy and bad, and then when they show the design of those monsters, it was like, ugh, vomit worthy, and especially your voice too, extra vomit worthy. Can you tell us a bit about why?
Why?
What specifically do you want to know about
Well,
it?
I didn't. I know you made a video. I didn't really watch your video because I never watched.
Oh,
any
I
of
watched
your
the
videos.
video.
I want to know how you got involved. Just somebody kind of asked you, and you said
It was,
like there was money
you know,
involved or not really.
Colossal is crazy.
Yeah, I noticed he was on the IMDb.
It's basically his fault. He got everyone involved into it. He messaged them all.
But why?
I mean, he didn't like force our hands in any way. He was just like, "Hey, look, we got this potential like a game you can be a voice in. Would you be interested?" And of course, everyone's going to say, "Yeah, okay." And then it will just kind of spiraled from there.
So why? Wait, he got approached by them and then thought it was a really good idea.
I don't know how he really got involved with it. I really don't know.
Financially invested in the game.
I don't think so. Beyond like the promise of payment that was there for everyone.
Well,
Yeah. I highly recommend Alex's video. I think it's the great thing about Alex is he doesn't try to be funny. He just kind of explained what happens, and it's the funniest fucking shit I've seen all month.
You heard it here, folks.
It's
throw in-
inherently funny because it's so fucked.
Yeah, huh? They just sent you lines over Skype or some shit,
yeah.
and you read them with no context at all.
Yeah, it was a very bizarre
like,
way of doing it.
Who runs
that's
a
funny.
business like who makes a game like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've done the odd voice acting thing just because I feel like it and because it really depends on how much they're asking for me. There was one person that sent me a message like, "Hey, I'm making some Lego stop motion thing." I don't know if you were in that too.
I've done a bunch of this.
Yeah, and there was like 3 lines. I was like, "Okay, well, I'm on my computer in front of my microphone anyway. Like what It's a little small thing I can do to make someone happy that, probably means a lot to them. So why not? But how many lines did you have in Hunt for the Freeman?
Well, because they were all sent over like Skype and WhatsApp. I don't have a specific number, really. But
do you think they were writing
for WhatsApp?
Do you think they were writing it as they were sending it to you? Do you think they were kind of just like winging it?
I think they were.
But like, at least
There was
send
no,
you
like,
a
script?
page of a script.
That's funny.
Like, just send you a page so you know what you're talking to and what you're talking about.
I It's almost sad
It's too
because
hard.
I don't know these people. I didn't know this game existed. But it's like I'm just imagining someone who's like, "Oh man, all these awesome YouTubers are in my game," and now they're all just talking shit about it.
I mean,
Like,
it's
it
an
makes
excellent
everyone
marketing
involved look
strategy.
terrible.
Yeah, should have signed a contract.
I really do want to play it. I really do want to play it at some point. I'm gonna save up for it. I think it looks great.
My friend that I was streaming with the other day just said he was watching some playthroughs of the game, and there were people that had to restart the game like 4 different times just because it kept crashing. So I don't know if I want to pay $20 for that experience. If that's what the experience really is. But does Colossal agree with you throwing him under the bus like that? does he take the blame?
He's fine with it. I've talked to like most of the other YouTubers involved about how much of a mess it is.
Oh my god!
And we're all on the same page pretty much.
I don't know how this happened, but I looked on the IMDb for it, and my name's there, but I don't think I was in the game, and I don't, I mean,
fans do that sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm
hoping.
Someone said I was in an episode of Mystery Diners at some point. I had to contact IMDb to get it removed.
Remove this.
Speaking of, should I mention my little IMDb debacle?
Oh please.
Does Alex? I don't think Alex.
I don't know. I
this.
saw something about it on Reddit, but I'm not sure.
That's so funny.
So on my Love on a Leash video, I told everyone to rate Love on a Leash a 10 out of 10 on IMDb because we got to support female filmmakers, right? And because it's a great movie. And then it currently has like 3,500 ratings, and it's a perfect 10 out of 10. So it's apparently one of the best movies ever made now.
Whoa.
And they deleted my IMDb for it.
My
account, not my page.
Ralph's account.
And everyone's like, "Where did Ralph go? Where are his lists and everything?" And they're just gone. They just removed it.
So you're still allowed to be an actor that shows up on IMDb through the listings.
Yes, I still do have a page.
You're just not allowed to have lists or rate things or participate.
I mean, I don't blame them. I kind of wasn't thinking about how bad it would be.
Well, I mean, it's clearly against TOS to rig the votes.
Yeah.
I
guess I did rig it. But, it's a good movie, so I believe in it.
Yeah. The best movie.
Mm-hmm. They fucked that IMDb
That's funny.
page.
I've rigged it before, and I didn't get mine taken down.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, but I can't. It must have been years ago now.
That's admission
like an
of
Alvin
guilt.
and the Chipmunks.
So they might take it down now.
It was one of the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies. I said to go rate a 10 or something.
Well, did they destroy the IMDb page?
I don't think so, because that one it wasn't like your one that had like no votes. The Alvin and Chipmunks movie had a few thousand already, so it didn't warp it too much.
Yeah, it had 5 ratings, and then it went up to 3,000, and they changed the whole cast list. They said like Paul Rudd was in it, and Charles Dawes was in it. They said the budget was $250 million, and then there were like 250 user reviews saying like this movie's a masterpiece, 10 out of 10. It made me cry. It's brilliant. So yeah, I get it, but.
See, you can't go on your IMDb account anymore.
No, that's done.
So you've lost all your ratings and all of your
like
watch list and stuff.
Worth it.
I moved over to Letterboxd.
You can't even rate TV shows there, can you?
I guess I can't. I haven't even thought.
Yeah, that's what I mean. People have been begging me to move over to Letterboxd for a while, and apparently you can literally just import all of your IMDb ratings and shit with a click of a button.
Yeah, that's what I did. So thank God I still have some of my lists. Not all of them. But.
Okay. They're clearly very different, or they're websites with very different goals. And as much as IMDb's user interface has been going down the shitter dramatically, the whole I don't know, the impression I get from Letterboxd is it's kind of just a big popularity contest website when I just care about movies and I don't really give a shit about trying to
I don't care
make a
about
big deal out of myself while I talk about movies on Letterboxd. On YouTube, that's a different story. But
what do you mean, like people flaunting their reviews on Letterboxd?
Yeah, it's from what I understand and from what I've experienced, it's designed in a way where it's kind of like a ranked social kind of, hey, look at me and how cultured I am about movies sort of thing, where everybody just shows off all the time, and it's like I don't
elitist, is it?
That's the impression I get from it. And correct me if I'm wrong, Letterboxd fans, but that's kind of the experience that I had from visiting the website and attempting to create an account several times. It's
like the hipster IMDb, we're like, yeah, we're underground. We're cool. We don't use IMDb, man.
I looked around and I saw just a lot of posts from obnoxious people that I really didn't want to see every time I logged into a website just to rate a movie, you know?
Well, now I'm there.
Perfect. You'll fit
More
right
obnoxious.
in. Speaking of ratings for things, you know,
Let's talk about school shootings.
I was gonna segue into it. It was gonna be a pretty decent segue, but let's just jump right into it, I guess. I was gonna say, for the Cool Cat movie, I didn't tell anybody to rate it a 10 out of 10. I kind of just implied it. I kind of just showed my own rating. And was like, hey, this is what I rated it. Support the movie because it's hilarious. And then the whole drama between Alex and Daddy Derek happened, and then everybody started rating it a 1 out of 10. It had like an 8 point something for the longest time. He had it going really well.
What does it have now?
I don't know. Not an 8, that's for sure. Would you like to talk about the recent Cool Cat things going on?
Yes.
Well, first explain the drama you guys had with Cool Cat, in case people don't know.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea, isn't
Probably
it?
a good call.
Once upon a time, I stumbled upon a trailer for the film Cool Cat Saves the Kids, and I thought, this is right down my alley. It's a obnoxious man in a cat suit yelling at children, and I thought I have to see this movie, so I bought it. I ordered it. The movie and T-shirt combo pack from eBay. And I watched the film, and my life has never been the same since. I saw his website that looked like it came straight out of 96, and I found this crazy man who was advertising that he was in Playgirl magazine and showing all of these weird sexual shots of him on the very same website that he was trying to market a children's film. And I reviewed it, and he took it well. And he took the criticism constructively, and everybody thought, wow, this is a cool guy. And then eventually, Alex had a poll for the next search for the worst film, and it was between Cool Cat and Smosh. And immediately I saw the poll and retweeted it so that my audience would manipulate.
You rigged it.
See, I don't have to say, I don't have to say manipulate the rating, but if I retweet it, then it's kind of implied. And now I guess Alex, take over from here. Tell us what happened.
So I made my video on it. To which he responded in the polar opposite way. He wasn't very happy about it. I don't know what it was. I guess I was a bit more harsh.
I don't even think you were.
I come across... You don't really?
Well, I mean, what?
I didn't come across as a bit meaner.
I made fucking pedophile joke accusations.
So did I. That's what I thought. That's what I thought did it. Do you know what it might be? It might just be the fact that I just sound sarcastic whenever I say anything because of my accent.
Yeah,
I think it might be as simple as that.
Maybe he just doesn't like British people.
Yeah, it could be that as well.
I mean, he called you like a punk bitch, right?
He called me a lying punk troll.
Lying punk troll.
That's one of my favorite
and he
videos.
refused to
learn
use
the
my name or
rules.
acknowledge me.
Ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Ignorant of the law is not an excuse. By the way, if the reason why we're calling him Daddy Derek is because that's the character name he gives himself in the film. He's Cool Cat's daddy. He doesn't see anything weird about that. He's also in an intimate relationship with Mama Cat, so he fucked the cat in this timeline. And yeah, it's a glorious masterpiece of a film made by somebody who has very limited understanding of what is socially acceptable, but is somehow trying to teach kids things.
Okay,
It's just the worst advice
Alex,
ever.
didn't he try to take down your video, Alex, or some shit?
Well, he did take it down. He struck down the video.
Oh, yeah.
And then the whole event spiraled from there into just chaos for a bit.
He eventually wound up sending Alex a bunch of legal threats for some reason. And Alex and I were having some back and forth behind the scenes conversation, and we determined that it was sent from a Yahoo address. And I was like, this is not a law firm. and we looked up to see if these lawyers existed, and they don't. And Like the closest. We actually wound up sending messages to this like Canadian firm or something that had the same name, and they were like, we don't know who this Derek Savage is, and he shouldn't be sending things on our behalf. And what's hilarious about the whole thing,
he's just trying to scare me,
is, he's making the accusation of illegal activity, of which, I mean, he's doing something illegal, very illegal, in order to try and accuse you of. He's trying to manipulate the game, but he's the only person doing anything horribly illegal. Not just impersonating a lawyer, but the fact that he was taking down your video, which is a violation of copyright, which is what he was claiming you were doing. So,
and it was the beautiful irony of it being an anti-bullying movie.
Oh, of course. Yeah. During this whole fiasco, I was trying to remain in good terms with Derek Savage.
Yeah.
He's a weird guy who does stupid things, but I didn't want to be enemies with the guy, especially considering how crazy he is. It took, I sent him like 2 separate emails that were about 10 paragraphs long each, explaining to him, this is what the Streisand effect is. These are all the other examples of everybody else who's tried to do something like what you're doing and it blowing up in their face. Here's your IMDb rating on the film that's currently plummeting. Your reputation is going down the shit. Even if you believe you are in the legal right here, which you are not, and I also gave him like all these, all these resources to fair use and just how he doesn't understand it. Even if you think you're in the right here, you're screwing yourself. And I sent him 2 separate emails that were like 10 paragraphs long to try and get it into this guy's head. And I was trying to be as nice as possible. He wouldn't fucking listen. He was taking down all these other YouTubers' videos too. And eventually I was just like, well, fuck it. I have to, I have to step in. So I made my Cool Cat Learns Fair Use video. And I think that I was being very fair, and I gave him a lot more credit than a lot of other people were giving him. But at the same time, I had to explain to him that this is wrong and this is not okay. And then he blocked me on 2 of my Twitter accounts. and I haven't heard from him since.
Oh, poor Daddy Derek.
So now he's making a school shooting movie. Who wants to who wants to explain that?
Oh, I don't know. I
can do it if you want.
Please.
Because this is... Well, first of all, he put a poll out on Twitter explaining...
Yeah, that's where it all started, wasn't it?
Yeah, he wanted to know what he should title it, but he couldn't fit the title in the fucking the what is it? The poll, right?
Yeah.
So they were just like these incomplete titles. Can someone find these? I guess I can find them right now.
He had the full titles
someone continue.
On top of the poll. If there's one thing that Derek Savage loves, it's exploiting tragedies. And due to the recent popular school shooting in Florida, I believe, you can never tell this day and age. You always have to specify which school shooting it is. But anyway, he decided he would step in because he wants to be the hero. He wants to save the day. And he said, how do we stop the school shootings? Oh, I know. Cool Cat. This is how we stop school shootings. This is how we save the kids. Literally, is through Cool Cat. And I guess the Indiegogo campaign is going to be up by the time this episode's out.
It's up now. He wants $25,000. It's currently at 186.
Can you? That's a lot of money. He's,
Yeah. Where's that all go into Vivica?
He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Well,
how much was 25,000?
Yep.
He has no idea what to do with that.
This guy doesn't understand how the internet works. And every campaign that I've seen him try and launch, he just has the most unrealistic expectations. And the worst ideas. Like, why would you release your video for the campaign like 5 days before you even launch it on Indiegogo?
Yeah.
First of all, like, because people watch the video, they're like, I should donate, but then they don't have anywhere to donate.
There's no link.
Yeah.
You post the video on the same day as you make the page.
You're just gonna hope that somebody cares enough to remember about it. He
has no idea what he's doing. Like, he's gonna stop school shootings. He can't even make a successful Kickstarter page. Oh, I found the 3 titles.
Yeah.
So the poll says the 3 titles. It's Cool Cat Stops a School S, Cool Cat, a School Shoot, and then School Shooting, a Cool.
You know what it says on the Indiegogo campaign?
On the
Oh,
the
my
description.
fucking God.
The description says, "These school shootings are making me mad." And all I keep hearing is, "What can we do?" Well, I have a solution that can help with this tragic problem, and it's Cool Cat. Oh God, it's so embarrassing.
I don't know if you noticed in the Indiegogo campaign video, the screen is cut down the middle, and Cool Cat.
What's your theory?
Is well, if you look at old footage of Cool Cat, he was taller than Daddy Derek, and now he's the same height, and Cool Cat is slightly more pudgy. I think Daddy Derek is in the cat suit in this video. Why else would he need to cut the screen down the middle? Unless
and the audio too. Cool Cat's voice.
His Cool Cat's voice is literally just recreated using old clips of Cool Cat, which is just very strange in your campaign video. Asking for $25,000 to make a Cool Cat movie, you can't even get him to do the campaign video. What?
Well, these movies are very expensive. He doesn't have the money to get Cool Cat, so he has to just use old footage. I get it.
He has one of the lowest levels of self-awareness I've ever seen, and that's just what makes his Twitter account so special. Like it's one of the wonders of the universe is Cool Cat's Twitter account. And I'm just wondering, like, did he release the video and expect that no one would notice how weird it is that Cool Cat's voice is so strange and clearly used recreating old
He probably
footage
thought it was really clever.
Yeah, and the way Cool Cat's moving too, like he just keeps doing this weird hand signal that he never does in the movie ever, and it's there's definitely an imposter Cool Cat, which is very interesting if you want to think about it in terms of the Cool Cat lore in the universe.
Maybe Butch the Bully took over Cool Cat.
Oh my God! What if the story's bigger than we think?
Yeah, that's why we need to fund this campaign, guys.
No, something crazy is going on here. Okay, my God. When he said when he said there's going to be a campaign, I thought, hell yeah, I need to make sure this happens. $25,000 though, I don't think it will happen. Even no matter how bad I want it to.
No,
has he done these before? Has he had a successful Indiegogo before?
The last campaign he did was for his film titled "Gun Self-Defense for Women," and the campaign he launched, I forget how much he was asking for, but what he did was just it makes no sense in terms of marketing or Kickstarter success. He had it set to fixed funding so that if he didn't get the right amount, it wouldn't even charge people. And he asked for some stupid amount that people weren't even going to donate. I don't remember. It was like he basically got like 10% of the donations that he would have needed. And then after he realized that the campaign wasn't going anywhere, he canceled it, started the campaign again, lowered the amount to the amount that he had already been donated to but never went through because it was canceled and because it was fixed funding. So he lowered the amount to that amount, and then he didn't even make that much on the second time. And he just like canceled the whole campaign. God. Because it's like you have to have a set plan before you set all this shit up. You can't
he made the film anyway, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
But like, what was he going to use the money for? He doesn't have a budget layout or anything. He's just like, I think I need like $10,000 for this. Yeah, that's what he asked for, $10,000. I think.
Yeah, something like that.
God. But for what? He doesn't know. Sounds right.
Fun fact: I was supposed to make a cameo appearance in that film.
Well,
and I actually, I sent him some green screen footage that he was planning on using in it, and in his original campaign video, he said, "Also, Adam from YMS is going to be in the movie," and so it was literally in his campaign. And then shortly after, I made the Cool Cat Learns Fair Use video, and then he deleted the campaign video, re-uploaded it with the only change being that one line. So there's like a hard cut from where he would be saying that I'm in the movie, which is, I found to be, even though not a lot of people donated to him at that point, I found that to be a little fucking slimy because you were already accepting donations from people that, who knows, might have only donated because you said I was in the movie, and now you're pretending like that was never a campaign promise. So you literally just re-uploaded the video. Like, what the fuck, man? You can't do that.
It's for the best.
Anyway, I'll release.
Do you still have this video?
Oh, I do. It's great.
Please
I'll release it in the next review I make of a Cool Cat related thing, whether it be the quote-unquote new Cool Cat, the kid's superhero film, or whether or not the school shooting film actually happens. So, yeah, next time I do a Cool Cat review, I'll include the footage and I'll include the story.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god!
What a special man!
What a fucking disaster.
So you will
Special's
cover
a
it
good
then,
word for
if it
it.
ever comes out.
Sorry?
The school shooting one. You will cover it.
How could I not?
And that's the thing.
true.
That's the thing.
You
It's
know,
too alluring for you.
I had every intention of covering his gun self-defense for women video.
Yeah.
I, bought it. I did a recording, expecting to get some good reactions out of me and my friends as we were watching it. And I wound up abandoning that because it was more sad than funny.
Really?
It was
Well,
like
Cool Cat ain't
it was like kind of concerning in ways because Cool Cat is something I want to encourage there to be more of. I totally, even despite Daddy Derek being kind of a dick, I would totally support and fund and purchase things so that he can make more Cool Cat because I love it. It's funny. And this is something that I did not want to support, and I did not want to give more attention to it by making a huge YMS video out of it. He was he was doing some very weird and strange and fucked up things in that movie. He
Really?
he brought cardboard cutouts of like Justin Bieber and shot them in the desert. And
Really?
this is in his gun safety film.
Yeah.
But he has another goal in mind. He wants to look really cool. He wants everybody to think he looks really cool, but he also wants to be teaching safety. And so there's a gigantic conflict the entire movie, and it was just very
That's just scummy.
it was very disturbing.
very
There was a
fragile
moment
man,
where
isn't
there was a moment where the cameraman almost got shot, and he like kept it in.
Oh my god.
I'm not even kidding.
Shot
There was
the
a
cameraman.
he brought some girl.
He's teaching gun safety, and he
Yeah,
almost shoots
no.
the fucking camera.
I'm not even. It's so fucked up, and this is why I didn't make this fucking video. Who knows? I might include a clip the next time I talk about it. He brought this girl to a desert. There's the boom guy and the camera guy. He had already spent the first however long of the film being like, okay, always make sure your trigger's not on your finger, saying some very basic and, from my understanding, correct gun safety tips. And then when he actually goes out to the desert and starts teaching this other girl, he abandons everything he said. like nothing that he said before applies anymore for some reason. She's shooting a target, and he's got like his I don't remember if he was holding her or what was happening. He was behind her, and the camera guy is at an angle, so not in her range, but like off to the side just to get the shot of her. And she's firing the gun, and one of the shells comes out of the gun and lands in her breast, like in her shirt, and she's like, ah, and like, I guess it's hot. I guess Daddy Derek thought this was a kind of funny moment to include in the film, but if you look at what's happening, and this is all in one shot, like this is something that happened. As she's trying to brush away her breast, she immediately, with her finger on the trigger, like points the gun at the cameraman, and you can see the framing of the cameraman like duck. Like this guy thought he was gonna die right then. And
no.
Daddy Derek looked at the fucking footage and thought, oh, what a fun, quirky moment to include in my film. And I was just, my jaw was open. I was like, what the fuck?
In a gun
What the
safety
fuck,
film.
man? So
You're
that's why
supposed to make it seem like you know what you're doing a little bit, just a little.
now that I've talked about it on this podcast, I'm sure someone will upload that clip somewhere. But that's oh my god, that's fucked up. Jesus
You're right.
Christ.
It's
I didn't
not even
want to.
funny.
I know.
It's just sad.
It's dangerous.
You think you're gonna
Yeah.
stop fucking school shootings and you almost let your cameraman get shot in your fucking gun safety movie, man? Oh my god.
I hope he uses fake guns
It's
when
just
he's filming
concerning.
school shooting.
It's fucking concerning. And no, it wasn't a fake gun. This was like a part of him trying to teach her how to shoot. Like this is shit that happened, and my god.
Thanks,
and now
Daddy
he's trying to stop school shootings.
I'm sure
Fuck.
he won't even make a dent.
Yeah, that'll be a success.
Do you want to move on?
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's move on.
I
Cat
keep
debacle.
ranting. Oh my god.
That's fine. You seem very educated on the matter of Cool Cat.
Yeah. That's just one of those topics that I'm gonna be saying a lot on. Ralph, I actually have a question for you. I wanted to kind of ask you about last episode. We had a conversation on television, and
Ooh.
you were saying that I wasn't really giving a lot of shows a fair chance. And then at some point in the podcast, I recommended the game The Witness, and then later you said that you tried the first bit of it and didn't like it, and that's fine. And I believe that if you're not enjoying the core of what something is, if you try it out for an hour, 3 hours, whatever, you shouldn't feel obligated to finish it. And I wanted to know if you've changed your opinion on that, or if you feel like games are different, or
games are. Ooh, this is a loaded question.
I'm sorry.
No. This is a good thing. We need loaded questions. We need loaded guns.
I got a gotcha.
Cool guy. So yeah, I started playing The Witness, and there's the line puzzle thing. I'm like, okay, this is kind of neat. So there's a point in the game where you figure out that there's more to it than just, solving puzzles on a flat surface, right? And it becomes more interesting. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then from there, I kind of grew tired of it, and I'm like, okay, this is fun for like 2 or 3 hours, but for me to do this for God knows how long, I think there's something like 1,000 or 2,000 puzzles in the game, right? Something crazy like that. I was like, yeah, I'm not really digging this all that much. Not that I think it's a bad game. I really think it's an interesting idea. I love the idea of it, but I didn't find it entertaining. And I know what you're gonna say, like, oh, that's the equivalent of watching 2 episodes of a TV show.
I'm wondering
and
if you think.
All right, you fucker.
I'm trying to get you. Well, yeah, I mean, I was confused when you said, I'm not really into it the first couple hours and then gave up on it because, like, I don't know, my playthrough was about like 40 some hours because I 100%ed it and I loved it. And I agree that, I agree with you on The Witness. You should not feel obligated to play through 40 hours or even beat the whole game if you play through enough of it to know that this is the core of what it is. This is the game that I'm playing right now, and I'm not really enjoying it, right? And that's what I was getting at with TV shows. I think that 3 episodes, I think that like 3 hours of something is a fair chance to give something before you can determine whether or not you like the core of what it is.
But I think the game The Witness, more specifically, is very different in that sense because...
Or is it?
I also tried all the different... There's different lands in The Witness where all the puzzles are different. There's some that are like symmetrical puzzles. There's some where you have to... You have to like make the line go over and divide certain sections of the puzzle. So I got the sense of every different puzzle, and I just didn't feel like I needed to keep doing the same thing as it got progressively harder. And I think a story is very different because a story, changes and goes from one thing to another. So I see your point, but I don't know. I think it's a little different.
Okay.
And also, I have very different tastes in games, I think, than you do. I'm a very basic gamer. I like my Call of Duty, and I'm a normie in terms of that stuff. I have dabbled into indie games a little bit. I do like Cuphead and stuff like that. But yeah, I prefer more Twitch shooting and like very low attention span games than you, I think.
What about you, Alex?
Adam? I think...
Yeah, what about you, Alex? I'm interested.
I'm just sat here wondering, like, I see your point, but at the same time, I do think there is quite an inherent difference. And I think the reason people find it so strange to hear you say that about TV is that the overlap with TV and movies is a lot greater than the overlap of games of that sort, if you get what I mean. Like,
I get what you mean, but that wasn't... I mean,
not that video games aren't stories, but The Witness definitely isn't.
Yeah, I mean,
that's such a unique
in that sense.
Of course,
yeah,
of course. I mean, like, it's the experience of what the entertainment medium is offering you. And when I recommended it, I said, it's not even trying to be a story. It's a very different experience. And from what you described about it, Ralph, like, I would argue in the same way that you would argue that I didn't get the full experience of Mr. Robot by watching the first 3 episodes, I would argue the exact same thing about you, dabbling in The Witness and trying different areas of the levels. Like, that's not what the experience of the game was to me. It was, there's a reason why I 100%ed the game, and I played through the whole game because I really enjoyed the experience I was having. And if I really enjoy the experience of a television show, I will watch through the whole thing. The Jinx, Making a Murderer, those were two things that appeared on my 2015 list. Obviously, 6 Feet Under. You know, I feel like 3 episodes is a good, fair chance to give something.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to debate. Also, another great thing is Alex watched Mr. Robot, and he very much enjoyed it. I'd like to hear about that.
Yes, I'm halfway through season 2. I think it's amazing. I think the hype is real. There's the odd thing that's kind of strange about it, and this is what made me start thinking about it. It was like, if I was trying to sell this to someone, especially someone like Adam, I can't see them ever jumping into it. Because
especially when you say that one thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it because I
really
consider
turn
it
someone off. Yeah.
Yeah, I consider it a huge spoiler, and I feel like it would completely ruin it for someone like Adam, who would say, "Well, in that case, I don't want to watch the 10 hours it would take to get through season 1 for it to get good." If you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but at the same time, like I just find I love the slow burn of television. I find it like way more satisfying in the long run than anything movies can provide, just because of what you can do with the characters and like a long, slowly building story. And that's what Mr. Robot has done and is good at, despite one major problem with season 1 that is a problem, but at the same time isn't a problem, and people who've seen it will know what I mean. But
especially it concerns a twist.
No, I'm aware of that much.
Also, there are many twists in season 1 of Mr. Robot, and there is one right before the bad twist that I thought was amazing, involving a female character. Do you know what I'm talking about, Alex?
I can't think right now. We're having to dodge around spoilers.
And another character are on like a pier or like a beach in like episode 8 or so. It was a female character.
I think I know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah, that one got me.
That show.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, when the overall like plot is based on something that's so derivative of something else, it was at first it was a bit of a I don't know if I want to keep going, but
that's fine.
I did. And
by episode 4, I was like, are they really? Is this what they're doing? Is this?
Yeah, that's where I was.
There's no way that's the twist to this, is it?
Yeah.
And then
I thought, no, that's so ridiculously obvious. That cannot happen. And I was like purposefully analyzing it. I would in the same way I would the original thing that it's aping, thinking, no, they're not going to do that, are they? That's too obvious. And lo and behold.
But then the thing is, once they do it, I think they pull it off pretty well, and there's a level of self-awareness to it.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Like,
and
okay.
but the result of it, like the result of it triggers something that is really narratively interesting in the way everything is presented from that point. So it's really rewarding in that respect. But if they think they're being surprising in any way, they're not to someone like me.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. But
all right.
I would recommend it though.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I might, I might try to keep watching it, but I have a funny feeling that it's going to end like every other time I've said that I would do that to a show. Where I keep watching, and then I'm like, well, this is literally exactly what I thought it would be, and then just...
Yeah.
Here's another thing that might, I guess, bring you into my mindset on this, is that I'm somebody that, the plot description oftentimes means jack shit to me. And some people have, I don't know, you guys are familiar with my videos. You'll notice a lot of the times I'll avoid plot descriptions completely. I'm somebody that really, really cares about the overall presentation. And I've mentioned before, it's like the difference between Species and Under the Skin. You could give them the same description on Netflix in some sense, but they're radically different movies because of how they're presented. And when I start watching a TV show like Game of Thrones and Mr. Robot or anything, my enjoyment from it is not really about where the plot goes for the most part. It's about the presentation. And for the shows that I've abandoned, it's literally just been me going, okay, well, this is presented fine. The first 3 episodes,
that's interesting
and
you
there's
say that,
nothing.
because I think the presentation of Mr. Robot is stellar, as well as like Better
I think
Call
that's what
Saul,
makes
Saul
it
and shows
A lot
like
of
that.
people say that. And when I went into it, like one of my friends was raving about the cinematography of the show, and I watched it, and I thought the cinematography was good. It's better than the average show. I don't want to just compare shows to other shows. The same standard that I have for all of the elements that would make up a film, I would apply to shows. Not pacing, obviously, but
Yeah.
things like performances, cinematography, etc. It really feels like to me, and I get that, I'm subjective and this is my own experience and I'm probably wrong because most people disagree with me or whatever, but it feels like, in my perspective that I'm trapped in, it feels like everybody just gives a lot more credit to TV shows than movies. That's just what it feels like to me,
Credit in terms of what, though?
As in, people are more forgiving for things that happen in television than they would be if it were in a film. And I'm not just talking about, like plot hole or something like that. I'm talking about the overarching general presentation.
Yeah, people are way more willing to give it more time as well.
Yeah.
That's it.
Way more time. So, like, some people will say, yeah, it's terrible for 2 seasons, but then by season 3 it was amazing. And then loads of people will go and watch season 1 and 2 without even thinking about it, just because it's television.
That's a very common thing, and I feel like a lot of people, just because they give something so much of a chance, that by the end of it, they're already kind of like invested in it just because of them putting so much time into it in the first place. And not necessarily about the presentation of the show. And I'm not trying to say that Mr. Robot is terribly presented. I'm just saying,
no,
I didn't think it was amazingly presented. It was better than the average show, but not up to the par of what I would enjoy out of a movie. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's that too. Of like, if a TV show does something for the first time, people are much more impressed by it because Mr. Robot does things that TV's never done before, that movies have. I mean, the twist is something that's never been done in TV before, technically,
That's cool.
Even the cinematography is so much darker than a usual TV show. Like, it's so dark looking, and usually TV shows are overlit and shit. So I love it for that.
Yeah.
The techno score, that's something new. I love that shit too.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, Adam. I think people are more forgiving. That being said, I still think Mr. Robot's like almost perfect.
It's much better than most of the shit that's on TV. Like, I'll agree that it's one of the best shows on television.
Have you heard people saying, like, TV's going to overtake movies?
I've heard people say
the quality's
that.
going up, and I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I still think the ratio is way off. I think there's way less good TV shows than good movies.
It could overtake it in terms of popularity just because people don't give a shit about going to the theater anymore anyway.
Oh,
but
yeah. Well, it already has, right?
Yeah.
Not in terms of quality, I don't think.
But yeah, you heard it here, folks. I think that Mr. Robot is one of the best shows on television right now, but I still don't think it's worth my time. I kind of want to avoid just rehashing the same conversation as last episode, so I'd like to move on to the next subject, if you guys are cool with that.
That's fine.
Unless you had anything to add? Okay.
Oh, I want to make a correction from last episode since we're all about doing that. I said I had to, I asked a question, what smaller channels would I recommend? And I completely forgot to mention Double Toasted, which I think is a really great channel that reviews movies. I thoroughly enjoy them.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I don't always agree with them. They're more forgiving on movies than I think I am. But they know what the fuck they're talking about. They've been watching movies for years.
Yeah, I've followed those guys since the Spill days, if anyone remembers
followed
that.
them since the Spill days, too. I love the Spill days.
Yeah.
I miss all those
with
guys. Co-host and Carlisle.
Ralph.
Yeah.
When you say they've been watching movies for years, is that to imply that you have not been watching movies for years?
I have, but these guys are like 40 or 50. I don't.
And
even
you're
know.
under
They've
25
been doing it for a long. Yeah, I'm
under 25.
All right, you want to mention this fucking guy? Let's not go into it. This dickhead.
You can do whatever you want. I wanted to trigger you a little.
Oh, you just no. I don't want to name names.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
God, this fucking asshole. Did you see him on? Okay, so there's this fucking dickbag. I won't name names, but he starts acting like a shithead on Twitter. Starts acting like a shithead. I don't want to name names, but this guy's a fucking dickhead.
Yeah, don't name his names.
Yeah. And then he goes, and then I'm like, yeah, you know what? Fuck you. You're not going to name names. You can suck my dick. And then he goes, you know what, kid? Let me give you some advice. Kid, go fuck yourself, asshole.
And his voice was just vapid as well. It was like,
oh, yeah.
How am I supposed to take anything
He turned
away
from
this?
being a dick to go, oh, now I'm going to be the mentor father figure.
Yeah.
Yeah? You are? You're going to tell me how to fucking make reviews, dickhead? All right.
All right, that's all you wanted to say?
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say about him.
Perfect.
God.
Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
No comment from myself. Just wanted to get it out of you.
That's all.
I've got a short question before we go into the next topic. Have you? Do you guys ever? If I don't know what the situation is for you guys in your respective countries, but there's a brand of toilets called Toto, and every time I use a public restroom and I see that on the toilet, the song Africa gets stuck in my head. And I'm wondering if that's the same for anybody else.
That's so ridiculously specific.
Yeah.
Do you guys understand my pain?
Someone in the comments will get it.
Yeah. I'll find my soulmate in the comments section.
I remember that gelin thing you were talking about. You guys remember that commercial where they say gelin? And
Hell yeah.
One guy in the comments like, yeah, Adam, I got you. So
Yeah.
that same guy will come give you some backup this time.
I hope they give me a back
can't
rub.
relate to that one.
Oh.
Yeah, they were, you were wrong. It wasn't just a Canadian thing, you guys. You were just under a rock when you were 8 years old.
Yeah, well, we were like tiny little
I just
babies.
skipped the commercials.
All right. So the Oscars happened recently.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Ralph and I did a reaction stream. There will
Yeah,
be
with Scoot. That was
an
fun.
edited version on my channel at some point, whenever that's edited through. How do you think the Oscars went?
Oh, they were fine. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, inoffensive. Whatever.
Inoffensive.
There were a couple of good speeches, acceptance speeches, but apart from that.
Yeah. This is the first time I noticed how fucking bloated it is, for one thing. Because it goes on for 4 hours, and it doesn't need to be that long. And then the amount of Disney product placement really got to be annoying. And I really didn't notice that until Adam started pointing it out. But yeah, Star Wars every 5 seconds, Black Panther every 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's ABC, which is owned by Disney. And Pixar wins every award every year.
Including Best Song, which Adam was pissed about. That was probably the highlight for me.
And you know what? There's a lot of people that really disagree with me, and they think that the song from Coco, Remember Me, is better than the Sufjan Stevens song, Mystery of Love. That's the title. And music is really subjective. I'm not going to say that like your experience is invalidated, but what I will say is I'd like you to honestly ask yourself, do you feel as though you got an emotional response out of the song from Coco from the song itself? Or do you feel like you got it out of how it was used in the movie? Because those are two very different things. And Pixar's filled with a lot of emotionally manipulative strategies like that. The song was nothing special. It was very formulated. It was very safe. It was very lame and cliched. And that's the only thing that Disney would let Pixar make ever. You know, that's what would happen in a Pixar film. That's literally what you get.
Won.
Yeah.
Let It Go was the same thing. I believe that one best.
Exactly.
Song, right?
Yeah,
it's
it did.
the same shit. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just take that same template.
We're gonna use the formula.
I said in the Oscar stream, the guy I know who has Oscar screeners, he gets them sent to him. He just gives them to his maid, and the maid picks the the awards for him. So it's not like it even matters.
Were there any categories that you were particularly happy or upset about in terms of whether or not the person deserved the award?
Alex?
I did want Baby Driver to win something to do with editing or sound editing. And that was the only one that I was kind of whatever about. I was happy about Deacons, of course, for cinematography.
Yeah.
That was great. And
that
VFX
was the only one I really
Runner,
cared
too.
about. Like, and the others I didn't really give a shit about. That was the main one. I was like, if he doesn't win this, then this show has even less credibility than I gave it.
That was probably the most clear-cut example of just who deserved the award at that point in time, and I'm glad it happened. Because honestly, I mean, it's like the best cinematography I've seen in the past, 20 years.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm 20 years old, so that means a lot.
I actually watched Blade Runner 2049 again last night, and I'm kind of shocked that it didn't win production design. As much as I like The Shape of Water, I'm shocked that it didn't win production design.
Yeah,
I think it should have won production design.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
They could have given it to Blade Runner. I mean, Shape of Water won Best Picture, right? So why not just throw it to them?
And Best Director, didn't it?
Yes.
So
I called it. Remember when I said that there was a good chance of Shape of Water getting Best Picture?
Yeah. I
and Best Score as well. So it got 4 in the end.
Yeah.
So like,
I
don't think it deserves
give
score.
one to Runner.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But it's not. It was probably the second best score on that list.
Well, I mean, Phantom Thread would have been my pick, and then was Blade Runner nominated? Because I thought that score was better than The Shape of Water. And then if we're going to include things like Good Time that also wasn't nominated.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Good Time wasn't even nominated.
No, that film didn't exist, guys. Forget
Adam, you
about
said
it.
in a tweet they didn't even see Good Time.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Like they haven't proved that they even know this movie exists. That's what pissed me off the most about the Oscars. Is like they don't even I'm convinced that the Academy is not aware of the film Good Time.
Of course not. Why would they be?
Yeah,
You're probably
zero acknowledgement.
The biggest shock for me was Jordan Peele winning screenplay. Not that it's a bad script, Get Out. But
Yeah.
I was like, compared to the rest of these, I think Lady Bird might have had a better script in some way.
I agree with
in
you.
terms of dialogue. In terms of originality, Get Out is like, wow, that's a pretty neat idea.
Here's a shocker. Lady Bird won 0 Oscars.
That I was kind of happy about,
Yeah.
too. Even though I say Lady Bird had a better script. Because Lady Bird didn't deserve shit, and it didn't get shit. It was a fun, coming-of-age comedy, and that's all it was. And everyone needs to shut the fuck up about it. Sorry.
How do you feel about the Best Picture winner being a Yif fan fiction?
I know you're happy about it.
It's
I'm very
progress.
pleased about it.
It is.
We're finally making progress, everybody. We did it. Yif won.
Oscars
We
are
did it.
progressive.
Yif won at the Oscars. My
I don't
God.
remember what happened.
It's 2018.
We did it.
No, I just like Guillermo's acceptance speech is all. He just comes across as really genuine to
Oh,
me
he's
and
the
nice.
best.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
so nice.
Such a nice
um,
guy.
There's no point getting too excited or too upset about the fucking Oscars. It doesn't mean anything really to anyone. So
Weren't the ratings lower this year? I know this from a Donald Trump tweet.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't matter. I don't give a shit
Yeah.
if the ratings are lower
Yeah,
or
whatever.
higher. It's not like it's not anything newsworthy, and someone would argue that the entire Oscars are not newsworthy. But what was really sweet to me was seeing Kojima's tweet after Guillermo won the Oscar.
Mhm.
I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
that's
What do you say?
a friendly relationship right there. He posted a picture of his friend winning the Oscar and had some sentimental short sentence like, "Thank you, my good friend. I'm proud of you," sort of thing. And I was like, ah.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's so sweet, and this is going to give a lot of hype for their new collaborative Death Stranding or whatever.
that's true.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to give a lot of cred.
I heard it's coming out in 20 years. That's what someone said.
that's
It
funny.
Yeah,
might
probably.
be. So this is going to be the best game ever, apparently.
And that's kind of why the Oscars matters a little, because now Best Picture, Best Director winner Guillermo del Toro, I predict, will have a lot easier time getting his projects funded in ways that he'll have more
Yeah, that's-
creative
that's the
control.
point.
You know, that's
Yeah.
why this shit matters, is because money matters, unfortunately. But
That is.
you know,
Yeah.
it's just a part of it.
I'll never argue they're not a good thing, but they're fucking boring.
I've
Oh,
never
they're
watched
insanely
the full
boring.
show. I've never been asked to watch the whole thing. I just watch the like best of clips on YouTube.
You know what pisses me off is like they cut people off for their acceptance speeches, and the guy at the very end too, like who just won
yeah.
Best Picture. How much of that fucking Oscars was just random clips of movies that had nothing to do with anything? You know, how much?
There were 3 or 4 of those.
You're short for time. You're gonna fill up the entire Oscars with a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Like the person
peasant-
can't
them
give their
going into
fucking
the
speech.
theater with the peasants.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that
Bunch
was
of
so bad. Hey everybody, we're
bad.
interacting with normal poor people. Ha ha ha. That's been the
Good
joke
for
every
you.
single fucking time. The last 3 years of the Oscars, that's been the gag, is we're interacting with normal peasants. Ha ha.
Let's throw candy at them.
Yeah. I ordered a pizza. Ha ha.
Oh, we're so fucking cool. We hang out
Mahershala.
with our fans.
Oh, fuck.
God.
It's crazy because, like, in their perspective, in their fucking insane, privileged, rich bubble, they're thinking, "Wow, this is really crazy what we're doing.
Mhm.
We're interacting
so
with
cool.
normal people."
We're so cool. We're really nice
Fuck
to our
'em.
fans. How nice. Yeah.
Fuck them. Fuck the Oscars. Fuck all of it. Let's move on.
Good call, Alex. What's
Yeah.
next? Oh, is the film next? Are we going to talk about?
We could,
our
unless you have
Alex's-
anything else that you wanted
I
to
don't.
throw in. All right, so
This is Alex's movie. Let him introduce it.
I was literally just gonna introduce Alex introducing the movie.
Double,
Oh, I thought you were going to
me.
introduce the movie.
No,
I'm like, Adam.
I was just gonna say, Alex, do you want to describe the movie, because we had a lot of comments saying that we should include descriptions. And so I thought you should
I can
describe it.
give a loose description of what the film's about. So This Is England is a very English movie. Came out in 2006 by director Shane Meadows. It's about a young boy in the 80s who, well, for those who don't know, England in the 80s had a very, very high percentage of jobless people who felt very lost, and there was all this stuff with the wars and blah, blah, blah.
This is a spoiler conversation, by the way, everybody. Forgot to mention that.
We'll get into spoilers in a moment, but it's just kind of a character study about the working class during the 80s, and things happen, and it's very sad and upsetting, but also kind of uplifting at the same time. Let's talk about it. I don't want to get like directly into the spoilers in terms of like the story, do we? Or
well, I mean, we kind of do. This is a spoiler.
It doesn't really have a story as much as it is kind
really.
of.
I mean,
scenes.
There are plot points to spoil, but it's, like really, it's just kind of watching a kid live life. Being
I'd say it has as much of a story as something like Trainspotting does, you know, where it's just kind of characters progressing through time.
It's like it's 1983. We're in Britbong land. Kid's like 10 years old. He leaves the house one day. And he says, "Mom, I'm going to be the very best like no one ever was." He meets another man who says, "Are you a boy or a girl? Welcome to the world of Pokemon." If
I thought you were actually doing it for a minute, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? You want to become a skinhead Pokemon?
That's Jigglypuff. We all know it.
Well, I don't know.
So what did you guys think?
I don't know what you guys
I loved it.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. What surprised me was how realistic the conversations were, and right away
that's
from
one of my favorite things about it.
The conversation under the bridge where they're fighting over where to sit. That's just one of those weird kind of like quirky conversation things that you would think you would never be able to write, and who knows, maybe a decent amount of this was kind of improvised. I don't know.
It felt like that.
Yeah, it was just one of those very genuine kind of things where you believed the characters that were in the movie. And for a film that is on such a touchy subject matter, and you know, talking about serious issues, I'm very impressed that they didn't completely dehumanize people in the film that you're not supposed to agree with. I'm glad that they had real characters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Would you say it almost feels documentary-like because of how well they nailed the natural way the conversations would play out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, in ways.
People would have like two conversations at the same time in the movie, like talking or arguing with each other about different things. It was excellent. The dialogue and acting were excellent, especially the kid, which I wasn't expecting.
Very good.
But he was
child
really
performance.
Good. Yeah. I mean, some of his fake crying was a little unconvincing, but like for the most
part, I was
actually
never
unconvinced.
unconvinced.
I never thought it was fake crying.
It didn't take me out of the movie, but I was like, you'd probably be a little more upset.
I mean, at the moment where I felt like
there's something that happens at the end that he's good in that. But there's I'm trying to think of another point. When he's talking about his dad, like
I love that scene as well.
Yeah, but
me pop pop.
I don't know. It's a minor thing. I'm not going to complain about it too much.
He's a first-time actor as well.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Ralph, was I correct in my assumption that you would need subtitles?
Oh, absolutely. Like the first scene, I was like, what the fuck are they saying? The British slang was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I'd never heard any of those words. But the thing is, they did such a good job delivering the lines that I was laughing at the British slang, even though I didn't know what it meant. It was very charming. It's this movie. It's a beautiful balance of comedy and tragedy, because these people, even though they're horrible, some of them, I mean, some of them aren't, but some of them are really just shit human beings. They really are likable and funny at times, and you totally get why this kid would gravitate toward. What's the Combo? Yeah, Combo was the main guy, right?
Yeah.
He was excellent.
Oh yeah.
And really charismatic and interesting, and
he was in Snatch.
Yeah. He was. I know him as Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
Another good show, which Adam probably hates.
I haven't seen it. But I probably would hate it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed how well it captured styles from the time period. If I didn't know that this was a film from 2006, then you might have been able to convince me that it was from much earlier, possibly the 90s or 80s. The mother's hair, especially, like that's straight out of the fucking 80s. Like that was.
What about
cool.
like the goth girl with the ridiculous makeup?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, she looked like fucking Harley Quinn. Lol. Oh no. What was her name? Smelly or Smell.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh man, Alex, is there are we missing something here where the word lol is supposed to mean something in 1983?
Yeah, they call her lol because they call her lollipop, and it's short for lollipop.
Ah, it's a British weird
So-
stupid thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything to do with being British. Like,
I'm
they
just
all
kidding.
have weird nicknames, like combo.
My brother told me lol meant like relaxed in slang or something, but apparently that's wrong too. My brother also thought they shot the movie in the 80s. So
Cool.
proving you guys your point correct that
Yeah.
it looks like a film from that era. Really impressive.
I was very impressed from the beginning with that very realistic punch to the face. I was like,
Oh yeah.
did they just hit him in the
All
face?
the violence.
Because it didn't even look cheated. It looked that was a realistic punch. You don't see
violence
those
is
that
super
often.
realistic.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
the violence is like key to
Yeah.
a lot of the emotional weight. Like, it's so important, and if it looked shitty, then the impact would be really taken away from it.
Absolutely. But it looks amazing.
Alex, you mentioned that it's a kind of a personal movie to you. Would you mind talking about your experience and how you found the film and stuff like that?
When it came out, it was kind of a big deal, and I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a like a mini series
Yes.
that extends on from it.
Really?
Three mini series. I think they're all directed by Meadows as well.
Jeez.
This is England 88, 86, and 90, or 86, 88,
He's credited
90.
on some episodes at least.
Yeah, I think he wrote the whole thing at least. But it's one of the most brilliantly constructed bits of drama I think I've ever seen in terms of this characterful story.
Mm-hmm.
It feels so real. Like the whole show continues on with the same tone. It's slightly more comedic at first, but it does go to the same kind of dark places as this movie. But it continues, and because of the length of time it's been spun across, so the original was 2006, and the show only wrapped up in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge portion of time to follow these characters through.
That's crazy.
So the emotional beats throughout the show, that is so hard to describe without seeing, because it's just so poignant. Picture the points of drama in This Is England, but then add in way more character development, way more story beats, and just the time that's passed. And I just love how they managed to get this intense drama without it even feeling remotely melodramatic at all. There's nothing contrived about it. It's all very natural, and it just feels like you're watching people. And it just is really, really impactful to me. And I'd recommend anyone to go and watch not only the film, but try and seek out the shows as well. I saw some people were struggling to actually find the film, which is annoying. If you're outside of the UK, I don't know if you guys had any trouble getting hold of it.
I didn't, but I did see there were multiple movies.
Well, I can tell you what I didn't do. I definitely did not download an illegal copy of that film, because that would be wrong. So I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the series as well. I don't know how the hell you'd watch those without being in the UK, because you can just stream them off a website legally here. But I don't know how the fuck you'd find them outside.
I
of
don't
the UK.
see any reason why these things just can't show up on iTunes just because of region shit.
I know.
You know, like what's wrong with that? Why? Please let me give you money for this product I want to buy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm begging
It's the
you,
kind of
take
thing you
my
want
money.
people to see. You want eyes on it because it's so fantastic.
Yeah, it pisses me off.
Yeah, so I'd really, really recommend that.
Yeah.
Would you guys say it kind of excels through its simplicity in terms of there's nothing much complex about the ways the film's constructed or put together. No fancy editing particularly, or camera work or anything of the sort. It's just very cut and dry.
No, it's all very basic and grounded. But it takes so much time to develop every aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because it's so simplistic. That's what makes it so brilliant.
You know, I guess there are simplistic elements to the presentation, but I wouldn't even call it a simplistic movie, because the complexity
No.
lies in the characters, you know, and
Yeah.
the way that the story is told.
Yeah.
I really, I that's probably my favorite thing about the movie is just that they give a shit about characters, even if they're supposed to be terrible people, they're still people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or even if they're just side characters. Like Gadget and his relationship with the Sean, the main kid, was great. And how like they would fucking bully him, and that's what led to him joining Combo. Like just little things like that they didn't have to develop at all. They spend a good 10 minutes just making sure you get where this guy's coming from and why he would leave his old group. Like it was brilliant. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything you guys didn't like about it? Because we kind of gushed. Where do your problems lie?
I'm just saying right now, I don't know if I could ever write and direct a movie where an adult is making out with like a 10-year-old kid and film it. I don't think I could ever do that. And that's fine that he decided to do that in the movie. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking, holy shit, if those genders were swapped, he'd be in fucking jail. They'd find a way. Yeah. Could you imagine? Uh-huh. Could you imagine some like 20-year-old dude making out with a 10-year-old girl in a movie?
Is there some
it doesn't
law
matter if
it's that, Alex.
It doesn't matter if it's like for the art or not.
That was
weird.
About that. Yeah,
I think she was actually underage as well. No, that was her birthday. So and a character remarks that, you're finally legal now, to her.
No, I'm talking about the actors.
Yeah, that's
the actors.
Like the character beat, I was
they were
fine
making
with.
out.
I thought that was great. And then she goes, "Do you want to suck my tits?" Like I thought that was great.
Yeah,
you did film a makeout scene between a young woman and a very young boy.
Yeah, that's weird. But
I'm not saying
it adds
ban
a lot
it
to the movie.
I'm just saying like I would never be able to do that. No matter how much integrity I would have over my vision, I would be like, this would blow up in my face in like 2 years. Someone would turn this into something where I'm some sort of like pedophile pervert now or something, I would never want to do that. They
used camera tricks on it. Like there was a close up and you could fucking tell.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, are they doing VFX work on this? Is James Cameron doing something?
Oh yeah. It was all digital.
It was impressive.
Yeah. Man.
That scene's pretty good though, to be fair.
Yeah, that's not like a serious criticism of the film. I just
not
holy
at all.
crap.
I was just curious.
I could never do that.
Yeah.
Never ever.
It just adds to the scummy.
Do you have any serious criticisms?
Some of the one guitar song from the movie, like the score was great for the most part. Was very surprised to see Ludovico Einaudí's name in the credits for the score before the film. Once the film started and the piano songs started playing, it was very apparent. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this composer.
I'm not, no.
He mostly does piano compositions, and he has entire albums that have nothing to do with movies, where he'll write and perform an entire piano composition album where it's literally just like nothing but piano, or sometimes like string instruments. And there's a song that he made called Experience from his album In a Time Lapse that was used at the end of the Xavier Dolan film Mommy. So it wasn't written for the film.
Okay.
And so that one song is probably his most popular. It's been used in like fucking car commercials now and shit, but awesome composer. I don't know if he's responsible for composing that one guitar song that happened when the kid was like on the beach, I think. Not at the end.
Or at the beginning.
Yeah, near the beginning. Like it just kind of felt like a little overbearing and cheesy at points. However, I feel like most of the usage of music was actually very appropriate and worked out really well. I actually, for that song Experience, I actually have it queued up on my laptop. Let me just show you guys a little bit of it, and I think we can show a little sample. Here, hold on.
Ooh, okay. Wow. Yeah, this part of the movie
really made the scene powerful, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
That's what I was practicing while I was waiting for you guys today.
Jesus, that was beautiful.
I'm just gonna learn that on the recorder.
That's our new theme song for Sardonicast.
It's already copyrighted though. The melody is from another song that
we'll buy the rights.
People in the comments will point out what song that was. But seriously, he's a great composer, and I feel like especially near the end, when the violence is happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
There was a moment where, when Combo, you could tell what was happening, and you could see it in his eyes, like he was getting seriously disturbed by this, otherwise innocent story being told. I felt like the music came in too soon for that. Like I would have rather have had the experience of noticing it, which it would still be very obvious what's happening, but I would have preferred to have seen it in his eyes without the music being overbearing. However, once the violence actually started and the music was still going, I was like, okay, well, this music fits perfectly with this.
Yeah,
I feel like
love the way
it
that
started in a little too early and kind of was a little manipulative at the beginning, but
that's my only complaint with it. Well, I have two. The music, I think, did a lot of the thinking for you at times. Yeah. Like at that part, I would have preferred if it was just no music at all. I think it would have been much more effective like that. Like you said, Adam, the guitar, whatever that was, I didn't like that either. But I liked most of the music in it, and I didn't like the very ending. The way it ended, I thought was a little not the kids, not what he does, but like just he's gonna throw the flag in the ocean and look at the camera. I'm like, all right. Like, they could have thought of something else. It felt like they filmed all this great shit, and they're like, okay, so now what do we do? And they're like, let's have him throw the flag in the ocean. I'm like, yeah, I get it, but
I would complain more about that if it were an adult. But I don't think it's that unreasonable for a kid to do, even though it is like, it almost seems like a cliched 80s movie in a sense, but maybe that's what it's trying to be. Who knows? Because it's set in the 80s.
I mean, it does make sense as well, because Combo gave him that, and Combo did like the most horrific thing he's ever seen.
I was just thinking
I wouldn't complain about
more
that
subtle,
part,
simplistic way of just getting that same message across. That would have been much more effective, because that's the whole movie. The movie doesn't do anything else that's like movie like that,
Yeah.
And that just felt like, oh, it's a movie, and he's gonna look at the camera, and it's like, it kind of it's not as bad, but it reminded me of the end of Florida Project a little bit.
Oh,
not again. A Florida Project brings it to the extreme, but that's it. I think aside from that, this movie's almost perfect.
I really enjoyed the performance from Combo when he is talking to this girl, and how he's like, yeah, that was the best night of my life, and she's like, really? It was the worst of mine. Like, I was underaged and drunk. And
oh my God, yeah.
The way he reacts in that, like when she exits the vehicle and he's having this freak out, but it's not a stereotypical freak out. It's not like scream at the top of my lungs and hit the dash kind of freak out. It's like you can see the character trying to fight back his own emotions and trying to hold it in. I love that so much. Just that genuine performance there, where it's like, this is real. It's not even even a fucking character anymore. There was a scene at the end of Mommy that was just like that. There's Frances Conroy at the beginning of 6 Feet Under in episode 1, where she's just like, she's making animal noises basically, or like Monique at the end of Precious, an otherwise terrible movie, but she, her emotion at the end in the film is just like, I love things like that, where the kid, you can tell the actor is like feeling it. It's just so real. So I love that.
The way that scene was shot too was.
Oh yeah.
It was very similar to the way they shot the scene with Combo and when the kid were in the car and they were talking about their fathers. It was like extreme close up. Like, these characters are getting so uncomfortably close with each other that it becomes almost like, oh man, back the camera up. It makes you kind of unnerved. It was so brilliant. Every artistic choice was so smart.
I really love how well it captured the psychology of both the child needing and longing for validation from father figures coming from a fatherless home, and also the psychology of those that are manipulating him. So many movies would write the same general story, but would essentially have the manipulator characters. They would essentially have them, like fucking twiddling their fingers, like heh heh heh, like not necessarily like that's exaggerative, but it would be there's so many other films that would make their intentions a lot more black and white and say like, look at how they're trying to use this kid and like they're just trying to get money out of him and get him to do this and like run all these errands or something like that. When in reality, in this film, it was a lot more gray in terms of what their intentions were. Like they were manipulating him just the same, but the characters were written in such a way where I felt that they wanted companionship too. That maybe, that they didn't realize just how much they were manipulating this kid, or they didn't really see anything wrong with it. And they were just people that thought like, oh yeah, he's one of us now. Let's let this kid, they brought him in. Maybe they did feel bad for him that he was being bullied, even though these are terrible people that you should not be manipulating these kids with your views. Like, obviously this is a terrible thing, but I don't think that these characters were written in such a way that their intentions were so black and white, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they're like real people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very genuine.
Exactly.
They have many reasons for the things they're doing. I mean, it's a little manipulative, but they also genuinely care for the kid. And Combo never had a father figure either, really. So he's like, oh, this kid reminds me of me. I'm going to be his father figure. I'm going to show him the light.
A lot of people don't want to admit this, but this is just how people are, no matter how disgusting they are. The what's that quote? Like, the path to hell is paved with good intentions, or something like that. I mean, like everybody looks at themselves as being justified in what they do, and not everyone is just this stereotypical villain that thinks like, haha, this is how I'll take advantage of this person, blah, blah, blah. A lot of them are just in their own fucked up situation and still terrible people, but are not aware that what they're doing is terrible,
Yeah, they think what they're doing is right. They thought they were saving the country.
Of course, yeah.
Like all these damn packies.
It's the chain of manipulation where they're like manipulating the kid, and then there's the scene in the pub with the guy from whatever the political party was at the time, I can't remember, where he's just believing all of this bullshit from this guy, and they're all chanting along to the political nonsense. And it's just like this chain of manipulation. It's all this horrible result of the way the country was in that year.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen American History X?
Of course.
I have, yeah.
It's kind of it's the American version of this, I would call it.
British History X.
Yes. I never got much out of American History X because I thought it was corny
same.
and simplistic and like...
I haven't seen it in a long time.
He's a Nazi, but he becomes a good guy. I'm like, oh, okay. This is like what I wanted out of American History X.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where it was brutal and realistic and grounded, but everyone was very likable and had a lot of layers to them.
Yeah.
Like an onion. A lot of
like
layers.
an onion. Donkey!
Donkey!
I just like how every character has
I was going to do Smash Mouth, I'm sorry.
Fuck you.
just play it in the background, score my little monologue. Yeah, so I really like the way I remember being in primary school and seeing kids like this in the UK. Yeah, I just want to sing along now.
A little distracting. I actually thought Adam just pulled up a recording of him.
No, I have a recorder in front of me. Yeah.
Oh my god. All right, Alex, what were you fucking saying?
I'm so sorry.
No, like I was wondering if you guys would get the same thing in terms of what I'm about to say out of it, but I remember meeting people in primary school and secondary school that are like the characters from this movie. Like, you see people you've known in your past and when you've been growing up in each one of these characters in some way. Maybe in the film they're a bit exaggerated compared to the ones you'd meet in real life, but you see little hints of people you've known.
Well, I know, like, you were raised by skinheads, so that makes sense, but...
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree in some sense. There are other movies that I would say hit that more for me than this, but I believed
I think part of it is the fact it's set in England. So
but I believe it.
Yeah.
Even though, because there was always that level of disconnect where I don't know. First of all, I didn't know this historical event at all. I didn't know about this war. I didn't know any of this shit because I'm American and I'm all about, American history. I'm so in my own bubble. But I was watching it, and there was. I could tell it felt very real, even though I couldn't relate.
Could
to
you
it on
keep
that
up
level.
with what was going on then without any historical context? Do you think they made it clear enough?
My mom had the Wikipedia thing out. Eventually, she started reading it out. But I got a sense like, there was a war and like, these kids are all messed up. It's really interesting because it's very similar to America now. In some ways, in terms of the immigration problem, which was like, wow, this is very relevant right now.
I wouldn't even say just America now. I mean, like, it's been a thing for forever.
For a while.
Yeah,
it's kind of reached a boiling point recently.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world, and there's always gonna be racism. There's always gonna be terrible things happening to countries. There's always gonna be war. But you know what? On the upside, there's also always going to be memes.
Yeah.
And that's what's important at the end of the day.
I would say
the convenience store scene was excellent.
Oh, yeah.
The kid went in. And at first, it was really funny because the kid walks in. It's not going to go well, of course, at all. Because they're all waiting outside, Combo and the rest of the crew. But the kid walks in like, what? Two bottles of whiskey and some cigars. And you're like, oh, that's kind of cute. And then it gets really bad really quick. Yeah,
man.
It stops being charming.
Yeah,
and the way that movie would just throw you back and forth,
yeah.
It's just excellent.
I wanted the guy to actually take a poop.
Yeah, me too. That was great. I love that fucking character. He was this random guy in a leather jacket who had like almost no lines of dialogue, but
just a fat guy hanging out.
I really want some chocolate.
Yeah, that's all he said. That might have been his only line in the film.
I think so.
And I love how
that leather jacket on.
I love how the main character just thought that was the funniest fucking thing in the world. I love how like near the end of the film you can tell he's like fucking blitzed out of his mind. He's just like always shit faced from that point on. Like, oh okay, well these are his role models now.
I'd say for me in terms of like problems with it, I think it takes 10-15 minutes to really get going, and especially by the point. You don't agree with that?
No,
every time I've watched it, I've felt it like. Come on. Like the bit on the beach, that kind of stuff. Like you're just wondering if you haven't seen it before, whereabouts this is going, because the momentum.
Do you mean like the montage at the beginning, where the kid was just kind of living his life? That I could see that went on a little too long.
Kind of up until the section under the bridge where he's introduced to the cast of characters. Everything before that it's necessary, I guess, but
I didn't feel the length of it really.
Yeah,
I guess because I've seen it so many times now, it's the only bit I'm like, I just want Combo to come in.
Yeah, get this train rolling.
He carries the film.
Yeah,
I thought the depiction of bullying was great.
Hell yeah!
I mean, the kid was fucking hilarious when he was talking back to the bully.
That's true. They were very
whatever
witty.
Crazy British slang he was saying, I was like, damn, this kid's amazing.
He's saying something. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Again,
I
get the
easily.
gist of it, but they're like, "Oh, you bloody wanker, you poop poop." God, I'm like, all right, I don't know what the fuck.
Can you please do more British impressions, Ralph? Can you please just do that?
Beepity boop.
Wow,
that's all I got.
That's Americans are notoriously bad at doing English accents.
Yeah, but for some reason, you guys can nail us down like nothing.
Yeah, we're just taking all your jobs, all your acting jobs.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, got to get them out. Build a wall.
Build a wall.
A metaphorical wall for the acting industry. Yeah. I did have one question about the movie that I kind of felt was a little bit of a nitpicky, I don't know, I guess you could call it a plot hole. Gadget just shows up at the main character's house, but he never gave him the address. Is that just because the town's so small? Like, they just know, it was implied that they never... that they didn't know who he was before, and I just found that weird. That he's like, okay, goodbye, and then later Gadget just shows up at his house. It's like, well, they showed the full conversation. He never said where he lives.
Yeah, that makes me think that maybe something was cut or
probably that's what it felt like.
It together.
Yeah, it felt like there was something missing.
It seemed like they knew
there.
the kid, right? So they probably knew where he lived. They probably walked him home.
Well, it's just because they ask him his name in that scene.
Yeah, they asked him his name, and that's it. It's like It's I don't think it implied that they knew who he was or where to find him. I just found it weird that that he literally just shows up at his house as though that was established at all.
I think maybe what they were going for is that a passage of time had passed or something. And
I don't know.
Maybe they went to the same school or something.
One more nitpicky thing. There's way too many shots of them walking toward the camera in slow motion as a group. And I got
Oh,
flashbacks to
yeah.
Suicide Squad.
The one where they're literally starting from, like, where were you walking from? That was a wall
yeah,
over there.
there was like a
That
wall
was so
behind
weird.
him. I was like, yeah, where the fuck you walking from?
Were you just, like, hanging out fucking King of the Hill style, and you just decided, okay, let's walk in sync. Hell yeah. Yeah, that was a bit cheesy. But who knows? Maybe just, trying to give it as much credit as possible. Perhaps it's kind of an homage to cheesy 80s shit. Or did that only get popularized in Reservoir Dogs? Was that like the first popular time that happened? How many times did that happen before? Anyway, that was like 94
I don't remember.
or something, 91.
Again, that felt like, oh, this is
92.
a movie now. And the rest of it didn't even feel like a movie. It felt like just fucking guys hanging out.
Yeah, as much as I love Ludovico Einaudi and his compositions, there were... I don't feel like music was always appropriately used in the film, and I kind of touched on that. But like there were some kind of weird montagey bits that I didn't feel made the film any better.
Mm-hmm. They were mainly just there to show passage of time, but they could have been shorter, and they could have used different music maybe. Or I mean, we're nitpicking now. This movie's pretty fantastic. Yep.
Sorry.
Burp out of 10.
Out of 10. I don't know. I use Letterboxd now. I don't do ratings out of 10. I
Oh,
give
what do
it
they
5
have it?
stars.
Oh, fuck. I'm changing my life. Are you going to put that at the end of your videos now? Like star ratings?
Might.
That's funny.
Might.
People ask why you made the
like
transition.
the star ratings more.
Yeah, I prefer star ratings.
I mean,
I
if
think
it's
it's a
out
little
of
less
5
stressful.
and you're going by halves, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I mentioned last podcast, I mentioned that I mentioned in the first podcast, I gave at TIFF, I gave my tickets to The Darkest Hour to Channel Criswell. And when the comments were like, whoa, Chanel Criswell. But that's not what I meant. I meant Channel Criswell, as in the YouTube channel Criswell. But there's a Chanel Criswell who is in this film, This Is England, that people thought I was that people thought I was talking about. They're like, oh, Chanel Criswell? That's one of my favorite actresses. I was like, no, I don't. But now she's in this movie, so it's
Oh yeah,
it's like poetry. It rhymes.
I didn't even notice that when you said that.
Yeah, people thought it was Chanel
That's
Criswell.
such a weird coincidence.
That's a
Channel
weird
Criswell.
stretch. That seems like something just one guy commented and you made a big
There
deal
was a
out of
few.
it, Adam.
There were a few comments, and
alright.
they seemed genuine.
And only like an English name could be that weird to happen to sound the same as that channel.
Who
Chanel
was,
Criswell.
Who was Chanel in the movie? Was that Lowell or Smelly?
She's only a minor character in the movie.
Yeah, she plays someone called Kelly,
Oh,
which I don't even remember who the fuck that was. So
No, a lot of the side characters are only developed in the show.
all right.
okay.
And she's one of those.
Do we have anything else to say about this movie? I'll give it a out of 10 rating.
Watch it.
I don't.
So how many stars?
4.5 stars. I think. I think this is an excellent
Nice.
movie.
I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. What about
Nice.
you, Alex? I
Static.
guess you abstain from that.
I'd give it a 5. I love it.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
Freaking
5 out of
love
10.
it.
Damn.
Oh yeah,
that's good.
5-star. Yeah.
5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars out of 10 squares.
out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's excellent. Especially, I'm somewhat. I don't know. It really changes it when you've seen the show as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh yeah, I would love to
can't
check out the
recommend
show
it
for
enough.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's only short as well. Like it's like 4 episodes, and one season's 3 episodes.
Oh, it's one of your
very
weird
short.
British shows where they make like seasons that are 2 episodes long.
They're
Yes.
not called
Yes.
seasons. They're called series, Ralph.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fucking
bitch.
dumb.
Yeah.
Listen, we invented TV, all right? We make the rules. God damn it.
Yeah. We invented words.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody watch it, unless you don't like watching people getting beat up a lot.
Yeah.
Do your best voice from This Is England. Your impression.
Hello, my name is Rolf.
Why did you say a name like Rolf?
I just heard
Hello.
that. Hello, governor.
Hello,
Yeah,
governor.
you do yours, Adam. You try and imitate my version of English.
Fuck. Oh, try
My
to
name is
imitate any.
Adam.
My name is Adam. No, I can't fucking do it. I would have to practice.
Yeah, it's so hard. But Alex can do an American one pretty well.
Oh, do it.
Yeah.
What do you want me to say?
My name is Alex. It's just my name's Alex.
My name's Alex.
That's
Say
not
more.
bad.
do more. I need like something to actually say.
Americans are very
the lyrics
blunt,
to,
so that's
to
what he'd
Smash
say.
Mouth All Star.
Somebody
So I have to
once
sing it?
told me.
No, just say it.
Somebody once told me.
Somebody once told me.
Oh,
The
wow.
sharpest tool in the shed.
You sound way more nasally when you do the American.
Yeah.
You sound
Like,
way more nasally.
For some reason, American equals nasally. You gotta talk like this now.
I don't really.
My name is Ralph,
Jesus.
the movie maker here with a new review.
Oh, that's
coming in-
great.
Coming in for you from
Oh my God.
Queens.
Help.
Dude, you could pull that off.
You should do an entire review like that.
That's what you should have done for the game you were in. I already forgot
Yeah, you're right.
the name of it.
Watch out, guys. Enemies are on the way.
That
Oh,
was
God.
the funniest part. They cast you as an Asian American, and you're like, I'm literally not either of those things.
Yeah. What do you want from me?
That's funny.
Yeah, like, why the fuck? Just change the character model's eyes. And that's it. And you're good.
Then halfway through, they're like, "Don't fucking do American anymore. Just do what you want."
Or just say British Asian. You're a British
Yeah.
Asian.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, those exist, right?
British.
British. You always go to the Cockney.
I don't know.
when, like,
Fuck. I know.
No one speaks that. Well, I know a couple of people that do. Actually,
I
but
really like Wonder Chosen. I almost sounded like Michael Caine there. What the fuck?
I really like
I-
Wonder shows.
I like Train
Michael
Spotting.
Yeah.
Halo 3. Odd
Halo
World.
3.
Oh fuck, I can't.
ODST.
I see. I would need to practice it. Like there's like certain sounds that if I just practiced it and got more consistent, I could do it. I could do it a lot better when I was in fucking drama class in high school. Like I wasn't as
Do they
bad
make you do
then.
it in drama class?
Well, yeah, different
force you
accents.
to do
I
it in
think.
English.
I mean, it's not a forced thing, but it's part of the curriculum is different accents. Because that's part of acting, really.
Well, I never
being
did
able to control
drama,
your
so
voice. Ralph, did you go through some questions?
I
you
did.
have some questions?
And Alex has some too.
Oh
Yes,
shit!
sir.
I'm interested.
I already asked my question about Toto toilets, so I don't have any.
Okay.
your
that
weird,
was
obscure
yours.
question no one understands. Apart from the comment
It was in
section.
my notes. I was like, I have to see if somebody else
Yeah.
shares this.
All right.
Okay, go on.
Let's see. This is from Full Moon Howling. Oh, by the way, you got to go on Reddit to ask questions to us.
Yeah,
check
there's
our
a
Reddit page.
designated questions thread.
Yep, you ask it there. Anyway, Full Moon Howling asks, what are some of your best and worst theater experiences?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
guys
Do you want me to begin? Well, you guys have
Yeah,
a little
go
think.
Go ahead.
Oh, I know exactly what I want to say, but if you do too, you go first.
Shall I do best and worst in the same, or should we all do our best and then all do our worst?
I mean, you don't even have to do a best, really, because bests are not as interesting. It's like, oh yeah, I just sat down, it was nice.
Okay, I've got two worsts then. It was when I saw Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It was just one of the ones where the person next to you has their phone on full brightness, so you can hardly even see the movie. It was so fucking annoying. I remember that was the first time I was like, I'm so close to really having a go at this lady next to me. And the other time was really recent when I saw Black Panther. Nothing to do with the movie. It was because I purposefully went to a cheaper kind of cinema, just because the tickets are cheaper there. But it's so shit there. The screens are so shit. You can actually hear the audio from the screen next door coming
that's
through
funny.
when that movie's being loud. So
Wow.
that's pretty terrible.
We have a lot of
What was
bad
your
ones.
best?
I've got two for best as well. It was seeing Transformers 3 with my friends because it was so laughably bad. It was just an enjoyable moment. And we probably ruined it for a bunch of people who were there seriously watching it. But, yeah, that was years ago now. And the other one was seeing a Blade Runner, the new one. Just because I was like... I had really low expectations for some reason. Because, rebooting all these famous franchises, I was like, oh, here's another one. And I still gave it a chance because I saw people were liking it. And I was just blown away. Loved it. It was a moment that reminded me why I love movies so much.
That's good.
All right.
Go.
Well, I've had plenty of bad theater experiences. One of them would be when I saw the film Wall-E in City Center Mall, Edmonton, and it was the middle of the summer, and they were like, "Well, just to let you know, the air conditioning's not working in the theater," And
No.
so if you want a refund before the movie starts, you can just take a refund. But I was like, nah, I can, how bad could it be? But the theater was packed, and it was the middle of the summer, and it was fine for the first 20 minutes, half an hour. But then you're already invested in the movie, and as it starts getting terrible, like the entire fucking room is just heated up with like hundreds of just sweaty people. And it was like a sauna, and I could feel the humidity of the sweat, and it was just it was a very painful experience to sit through. But I watched the whole movie, and it was pretty decent. I don't regret it, but now I know that if ever again there is a time where they say the air conditioning's not working, would you like to get a refund? I should probably say yes and go to a different theater, because that was not fun. There's been a bunch of times where people have just been random assholes. There was a guy texting in the Inglorious Bastards in front of me, and he did it so often. I was like, why are you even here? You're not even watching the movie. So I snapped, and I poured my Red Bull down his shirt, and
Really?
yeah.
What did he do?
He did nothing, because he was beta. He
Really?
wiped the back of his neck. And I guess he was just too scared that I might be some like crazy person, which I kind of am. He didn't even look at me. He almost turned around, and he just patted the back of his neck and then put down his phone for the rest of the movie. I was like, yes.
So he knew. He was waiting for someone to call him out.
I guess so.
What a pussy.
Yeah, I don't often do shit like that. I don't know why that happened. Sometimes I'll like tap on a person and be like, "Excuse me, what the fuck?" Oh God, that happened during Darren Aronofsky's Mother at Toronto Film Festival, a place where you would expect, like, Toronto Film Festival has some of the best audiences when it comes to oh yeah, like some of the best audiences for movies at Toronto Film Festival. But this one old lady who was just chatting with her friend next to her and just would comment on everything. I was like, and then her phone went off like 3 times, and she like it would ring, and she'd be like, and just like, press a button, and then it would start ringing again like 10 minutes later, and like everybody in the theater was like, oh my fucking God. But I was at a point where I was like, you know what, this shit has happened to me so many fucking times that you gotta just get yourself in the mindset that it doesn't fucking matter. And I watched the movie, and I had a great experience with the movie, and anytime she would do some annoying shit, I would think, that's kind of fucking funny, and I think it's going to bother other people more than it's going to bother me, because I'm not going to let this ruin my experience. And that's honestly, I feel like, the best way to go about it. If you've tried and you've made it clear that they're being a nuisance and they're not going to stop, and this is just what you're locked into for the next hour, then you might as well just try to fucking enjoy it and just have a good time.
Yeah.
Best theater experience, hands down. I was a big fan of the Jackass movies and show. The movies in particular, I found the first and second one especially to be like absolutely hilarious, especially when I was younger. But the issue was, for the second film, it was rated R in Canada. And so our version of R is basically the American version of NC-17. So our other the rating systems that we have it goes PG, I think there's G also, like G, PG, 14A and 18A. So we don't have PG-13, and we don't have R. Well, we do have R, but it's not the other R. So your NC-17 is RR. So in the same sense that an NC-17 rating in America means that you have to have your own ID and be over 18 to get into the theater, like you couldn't do it with an adult for NC-17 in America. In that same sense, rated R in Canada is that way as well. So 18A, you could be a kid as long as you're with a parent. But rated R in Canada, which very few films are rated R in Canada, you need to be your own adult and have your ID showing up to the theater. So I wanted to get into Jackass #2 when it was out, but I wasn't 18 yet. And so I was like, shit, I had to catch it when it was out on video. And I would have loved to have seen that in the theater, because it's just such a funny, hilarious experience. And I'm sure, I was positive that the crowd experience would have made me enjoy it a lot more too. And so it's coming up to the Jackass 3D release date. I'm 18 by this point. I had turned 18 earlier that year, I think. And I was like, well, shit, this is our chance. We got to do it. And so I got myself and 2 friends together, and I was like, okay, Thursday night opening showing, we're doing it. They came over to my house. We bought a bunch of liquor. We just bought like a bunch of Jack Daniels because, I mean, you can drink at 18 in Alberta if anybody's curious. You can buy
really? That's
yeah,
awesome.
you can buy liquor at 18 in Alberta, Canada, and it's 19 for a lot of the other provinces. But anyway, we bought a bunch of liquor, and then I look on the computer and it's like, what? There's no showings for Jackass 3D tonight. I look in the newspaper, no showings. Like, what? I could have sworn there would be an opening Thursday night showing because it's just such a huge movie, but there wasn't. And so we thought, we're going to continue with this. I got my friends to spend the night at my house. First thing tomorrow morning, we're catching the noon or 1 p.m. show, whichever one, the earliest thing we possibly can. We're going to Jackass 3D, and we're getting shit-faced. And and so that night, before we went to the theater, we had constructed these masks made out of old posters because I worked at like a lot of movie places, so I had a bunch of posters lying around, and I also had a bunch of old 3D glasses from other films that I had seen. And so we did a little bit of construction, and we essentially formed the posters over the glasses in a way where we made a mask. And the whole idea behind that, it was really stupid but kind of funny. The whole idea behind that is that Shay, my friend Shay, who I mentioned in a lot of my earlier videos, he was like, man, I don't really like being able to see out of the peripherals when you're watching a movie, you know? Like, I don't like seeing what's on my side. So that's why we decided to make these masks, is to basically block out our peripherals so that we're only seeing through the lenses of the 3D glasses. So they had some weird kind of like alien-looking masks. Theirs looked cooler and put a lot more effort into it than mine. Mine was just, I replaced the eyes of Viggo Mortensen on a Lord of the Rings poster with the glasses, but his face was so stupidly small that it looked hilarious. Anyway, so we wake up, we grab all of our fucking booze, we have these gigantic coats because it's Edmonton, and we just sneak all of our shit. We go onto public transit with all this booze, and we're literally just taking shots at the bus stop because we're young and stupid at like noon. And we get onto the bus and we have our masks on. We made a couple friends from people just being like, why do you have these masks on? Oh, that's interesting. We're just having a good time. Get to the theater. They obviously ask us to take our masks off to check ID. And get inside, successfully sneak everything in, snuck some food in. We got the bottle of Jack Daniels. We put a fucking movie theater straw in it. We're locked in, good to fucking go. Watched the movie. It was hilarious. I was drunk. I was having so much fun. It was everything that I wanted it to be out of the experience that I was longing for, this Jackass 3D experience. However, there was only a couple other people in the theater because it was like it was like the nude show, but I was so drunk that I didn't care. And my one friend, Michael, who is much smaller than me and who I have never known him to be able to keep up with me in terms of liquor because we have very different metabolisms and body sizes. About halfway through the movie, I've decided, okay, I'm good. I'm too drunk. This is fine. I'm comfortable where I'm at because this is getting ridiculous, and I want to enjoy the movie. He continues, and he is literally just tapping me on the shoulder every like 5 minutes, like just pass it, just pass this bottle. I'm like, okay, like I don't know. I've stopped drinking a while ago. This is interesting. End credits roll. The lights come up, and they're playing the blooper reel of everything in the movie. Michael leans forward and starts profusely vomiting inside his mask that he was wearing. I just lose it, and I'm laughing and I'm clapping. I'm like, this is the best day of my life. And Shay's laughing at him too. It's like he didn't even take off his mask. He's literally just puking inside his fucking mask and like all over his face. Just blah, blah, blah. And we're like, oh God, This is like the end credits of the movie. It was the perfect ending, and me and Shay were like, I guess we got to get him out of here. Like they're gonna come to clean up the theater pretty soon, and hopefully they just think it was because something really gruesome happened in the movie, like squeamish, and that we weren't just kids getting shit faced at noon. So that was my best theater experience because that was just a perfect ending. To the day is my friend throwing up inside of his fucking mask that we were wearing for basically no reasons because we decided to get drunk at noon and watch Jackass 3D because there was no Thursday night showing.
Wow, I don't know how to top that one, but
that's what she said.
Okay, best ones are boring. Dark Knight, I saw Dark Knight midnight showing. That was fun. That's probably the best one. Worst one. There's a lot of bad ones. You guys were talking about people on their phones or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like every movie here in America. Everyone's just fucking rude all the time.
Really?
But I have to say, worst theater experience. Every time I see a Fast and Furious movie, from 4 to 7, I don't want to shame mentally ill people at all, but every time I see a Fast and Furious movie, there's a mentally ill person in the theater, and they're very loud. Like, they yell a lot. So the 4th one, it was a guy yelling the whole time. 5th one was the same exact thing. 6th one, a guy was yelling really loud in the full theater, keep in mind. And then there was a kid who yelled, "Shut up." And then this guy got up.
Oh, no.
Went, "He's mentally ill. Leave him the fuck alone, kid." And people started clapping in the middle of the movie. And then these two got in a fight in the middle of the theater.
What?
Like, not a fist fight, but they were fucking yelling at each other. And I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to watch a Fast and Furious movie. Why is this always an issue? So,
wow.
It's usually because I go to a matinee showing. I'm thinking, like, maybe that's the correlation, that, like, mentally ill people. Again, I don't want to shame mentally ill people because it's not their fault, right? But it's very distracting in a movie when people are yelling at each other or just yelling in general. So I go to a late showing of the 7th one, right? Not many people in the theater, but then more people start coming in as it goes along. I'm like, this is kind of odd, but okay. And then there's this one guy, he's mentally ill because he's murmuring. I'm like, oh God, another mentally ill person, okay. But he leaves the theater and comes back in, like, repeatedly and just strolls around the theater, and he has a trench coat on, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy's going to shoot up the theater. So I run out of the theater
America
and, like, try to get somebody. Yeah, because I'm, like, terrified because this guy is, like, just walking around scoping out the place and then leaving. And as he's going, like, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So I called the theater people. I'm like, there's some guy just, like, running around the theater. I think he's gonna shoot up the place. Can you please do something about it? And thankfully nothing happened, but I'd have to say, luckily when I saw the 8th one, it was okay.
You had a change of
Oh,
heart.
the movie was okay.
Yeah. So
You loved the movie, did you?
I'd have to say those are the worst theater going experiences for me. Again, not shaming mentally ill people, but it's...
You know what?
it's
You just
distracting.
reminded me of one, speaking of The Dark Knight.
Me too.
When I saw The Dark
Yeah.
Knight Rises, something happened which I can't believe that it happened. You got to tell me if you guys have ever experienced this kind of thing happening in one of your theaters. The film began, the screen was black, and I was so excited. And the sound starts playing, and it's like, oh, this is cool. And then it keeps going, and the screen is still black. Literally, the film plays for 15
That's
minutes with no visuals. And I looked back to see where they were projecting it, and they were projecting it into, like, the corner of the room, just in the complete wrong place. For 15 minutes.
The employees were just
This
watching.
is the most fucking British thing ever. No one said anything.
That's
Everyone
so
just
funny.
sat there in complete silence and just
that's so
listened.
Oh my God.
And then it
happened
took
when
them
I saw
20 minutes to
Skyfall.
reset.
Yeah,
I,
that happened when I saw Skyfall.
There's been countless times where I've been in a movie and there's been an issue either with the 3D or the sound or the video at the beginning of the movie. And I've learned that you literally just have to take initiative and, like, run out of your seat, find the closest employee and be like, I'm in theater 6. It's not working. Fix it now. Because if you don't, then you're just wasting time and everybody's, you're just wasting everybody's
gonna do
time.
anything.
And nobody else is going to do it. You can't trust other people to do it. You just got to be the guy, So I've ran out there and just gotten it fixed many times. And I feel like I've made the world a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why couldn't you have been in my theater?
Oh, well, maybe someday. You reminded me of Ralph. You reminded me of when I saw Get Out. There was somebody with some kind of, I'm assuming, a mental disability, a very old man who every time something happened in the movie, he would say, "Uh-oh." And it was really like nobody got pissed at him. Like everybody understood what was happening, that there was this guy in the corner that like, no one's going to scold him or anything. So people just laughed and it was really funny.
Yeah.
He would just say,
well,
"Uh-oh."
That's better than a guy just fucking, because these people would just
It made
yell.
things really, really hilarious and awkward. And then whenever there was like a twist in the movie, he would say like, "What the?" Like really loud. It was great. But everybody was enjoying it. It's like, it's partly a comedy anyway. So it's like, that wasn't like a terrible experience. I do want to share just one more. I'll keep this one quick. The same friend that puked into his mask when we were underage for other films. It was Saw 3 that we really wanted to see, and this was my fucking Saw buddy. He was so obsessed with the franchise, and so was I. And so we snuck into the movie. As we got in, I was like, okay, well, I think one of the employees just saw us go in there. There were literally 2 other people in the entire theater when we snuck into this movie. And the theater was like relatively dark. It was about to start. So I was like, okay, quick. I came up with a fantastic idea. And we sat right next to the 2 other adults in the theater. I took off my jacket. I put my hair in a ponytail. And he took off his jacket, so we were like wearing different clothes essentially. And like I look very different with my hair back. The employees came in, they shined the flashlight. I guess just noticed a group of 4 that nobody in the group looked like the 2 kids that they saw coming in. And so we watched through the whole movie because we snuck in successfully because of my quick thinking. And at the very end of the film, as we were walking out, the theater employees are about to clean up the theater. They're sitting there with the garbage bag about to go into the movie theater. One of them shouts, "Those are those 2 fucking kids!" I was like, "Oh!" And we literally ran. We ran out of the fucking building. We literally just booked it to the Chuck E. Cheese, and it was such an amazing fucking adrenaline high. I felt like I was on crack for the rest of the day. And we went to Chuck E. Cheese, and this nice lady gave us all of her fucking tokens, and we just
oh my god
hung out there. That was awesome. It was a very satisfying sneak into a movie and almost get caught kind of thing. Anyway, I guess another question or something.
Yeah, that's that question. I think we did that one in a big detail.
Big story time question that was.
Yeah, you got lucky whoever asked that question.
Some Velvet_morning asks, what makes a film pretentious rather than meaningful?
Oh.
Pretentious rather than meaningful.
I have an answer, but if you want to go first, I mean.
No, Adam, this is a good question for you.
Yeah, you go first.
When I consider something pretentious rather than meaningful, and every experience is subjective, but it's the impression that I get when I watch the movie that it has a greater sense of self-significance than it actually lives up to having. And that's when I consider something to be pretentious. Is not like, ooh, it's different or weird or anything like that. It's when I get the impression that the film thinks it's offering a lot more than it actually is, or if it's making some sort of like statements that are essentially, in my opinion, really superficial or obvious, but it's presented in a way where it's almost as if the film thinks it's some sort of grandiose, important, mind-blowing thing that it's communicating. For something to be pretentious, it has to do with what the film is expecting you to think as an audience member. If it's being like, "Hey, look at me, this huge thing that I'm doing," and it's not really all that special. If it's like begging to be interpreted, but there isn't that much to interpret from it, that's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would only, because I completely agree with that. I would only add, if you stylize your movie for no reason, if you, like unnecessary, pointless, flashy style. Zack Snyder, Guy Ritchie, those are the definition of pretentious filmmakers for me. They're like,
in a way,
I have a vision, but it doesn't fucking mean anything. It's just a bunch of shit.
I don't. I wouldn't.
That's what I see.
I wouldn't want to imply that you shouldn't be allowed to do things differently if it's purely for aesthetic or preferential decisions that don't necessarily have some sort of deeper meaning, though.
Yeah, but it should totally be organic to the story you're telling. Because I'm go to film school, and some people fucking hate Wes Anderson because they think he's pretentious, right? Because his style is, he has a style and he does the same shit every time.
Yeah.
But he does his style always works within the stories he's telling. And, Grand Budapest is a story within a story within a story told 100 years after the story took place. So it has that storybook feel. And Moonrise Kingdom's about childhood, so you're like, all right, it's childhood, so it's all flashy and colorful and symmetrical and whatever, His more pretentious ones, which is like Life Aquatic, where it's like, he just did it because that's the way he does shit, I would see that as pretentious. So I think there's a difference.
I don't see anything wrong with having like a style.
Oh, I don't either. I think having a style is a great thing, but it needs to make sense within the story you're telling, and you need to have a reason for doing it. And if you don't, then it's just, I'm going to be cool for the sake of it. And that's what Zack Snyder does. And that's what Guy Ritchie does.
I don't completely agree with you, but I do essentially agree with you. It would just, I wouldn't want to put that kind of a blanket over it, I guess.
Okay, that's fair enough.
What about
I
you,
do
Alex?
agree with you. If a film is more intelligent than it thinks it, or the movie thinks it's more intelligent than it is, that's also pretentious. But yeah,
Can
go
we
ahead,
all
Alex.
name a film that we believe to be pretentious?
Only God Forgives?
Adam?
Oh my God. Well, yeah, that, Jesus Christ. What is this guy named? Alex, you got to say it right now, because I'm going to look this shit up right now.
Yeah, what's yours, Alex?
Oh, my one. I would say Mother. I think that film's quite pretentious, almost by design.
Darren Aronofsky. It's a little pretentious.
I
I'll
don't
give
think
you that.
pretentious is necessarily bad, though. I think that film is pretentious by design. I think, like, if you listen to all the interviews where he's talking about the process of that movie and what it's about and the way he talks about it, it is kind of inherently pretentious. And I looked up a list just out of curiosity, because I was trying to think of examples. What films do people consider to be pretentious? And I found one of those sites where, based on upvotes and downvotes, they were sorted by pretentiousness. Number one was Mother, weirdly enough, but there was also films that I would disagree with, like Birdman was on there. A Serious
Birdman
Man
has reasons for being weird. Serious Man, really?
Yeah.
Serious Man's a fucking comedy.
And
I love a Serious Man.
I love Birdman.
I do
and
too. I
Serious
think
Man.
it's excellent.
But it just made me realize, I don't know, I feel like the whole point of art is that it's kind of up to interpretation, and like one person's pretentious is another person's genius.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but one person's fucking wrong.
Like
I think people overuse the word pretentious
Zack Snyder,
a
didn't
little
you, as your example for
he's
pretentious?
the fucking
When there are
definition.
hordes of people who think he's a genius and love everything he does,
Yeah.
you know?
Those are people who are just wrong. I know we don't. I know we're like, oh, films are they're just wrong.
So
Yeah.
I found who I'm talking about.
Okay.
It's a guy named Matthew Barney. You were done talking about your thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a guy named Matthew Barney, and he directed a series of films called the Cremaster Cycle, Cremaster Cycle. And it started in 1995 with a 42-minute short film titled Cremaster 4, and it's the content of the films themselves are, if you could imagine like a parody of a shitty, pretentious, nonsense movie that's trying to be David Lynch but fails, where it's like, ooh, so random, implied significance where there is none. That's what the content of these movies are. Cremaster 4 was his first film in 1995. That's 42 minutes long. Cremaster 1 came after that in 1996. 40 minutes. The next film in 1997, Cremaster 5, 55 minutes long. The next film after that in 99, Cremaster 2, an hour and 19 minutes. There's no story. There's no real like overarching story. There's no reason for him to pretend as though there's something happening that's out of order that justifies like, ooh, Cremaster 4, that's my first film. Isn't that kind of funny? Like, haha. And then Cremaster 3, a 3-hour-long film in 2002. He also directed a movie called River of Fundament, which I tried watching, but it's impossible to find. It does like those touring museum kind of things, like it's shown in like art museums, and that's the only place it's ever seen. It's over 5 hours long. The trailer on YouTube has like full nudity in it, like a penis in it somehow.
Yummy.
And it stars Paul Giamatti.
Huh.
And Ellen Bernstein's in it. Maggie
Bizarre.
Gyllenhaal's in it.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I
whole
wanted to
cast.
see this movie because it looks retarded. And Paul Giamatti's in it, so I mean, I really wanted to see it. And holy crap, man, if I ever wanted to fucking torture you guys, then one of my movie recommendations for the podcast would be like the Cremaster Cycle. If I ever wanted to put you through some serious shit.
It's 6 hours, 38 minutes long.
Yeah.
6 hours.
Yeah, the Cremaster Cycle is 6 hours and 38
my
minutes of
God.
just fucking nonsense. Fucking nonsense and annoying bullshit. Look at the are you looking at the poster right now? Of him dressed up in that stupid fucking getup and that stupid makeup. The whole thing is just fucking nonsense. It's awful. That is the apex, the epitome of pretentious right there. And I encourage any one of our viewers to go check this out, and I think you will fucking agree with me. This is some of the most pretentious shit that exists on the fucking planet.
You don't have to watch the whole thing. Maybe 5 or 6 minutes.
What if it's genius?
Yeah,
What if I just don't get it?
We have to
My God,
watch
I
2
gave it a
hours
serious
each.
try.
I want to add that to the definition of pretentious is when a filmmaker has no concern for the enjoyment or the entertainment of the audience. I mean, I know there's a certain amount of that's acceptable of the audience not enjoying it, but I think there's a point where you have a 6-hour-long movie that's boring and makes no sense and only makes sense for the guy who made it. That's what I call pretentious, where you're like, yeah, just go fuck yourself. You're gonna act like your movie's too smart for me. Meanwhile, you don't care if anyone likes it but yourself. All right, fine. No one makes a movie like that.
I would argue that there's artistic value in making a film or an art form that's supposed to elicit negative emotions. I believe that there's artistic value in intentionally making
but if
something
there's a reason for
that
it,
people
then, yeah.
will not enjoy. You know, they won't enjoy the experience, but the experience has some sort of purpose.
Yeah.
Going back to the guy you suck off all the time, Funny Games
Yeah.
is it's a statement on violence in movies and how we enjoy violence in movies, and it's a thoroughly unpleasant movie, but that's by design and has a reason for being that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And it's also a fuck you to the audience who would go see a movie like that because it was marketed as one of those, dumb horror movies or whatever, which is even better.
I think that's part of the reason why he did a U.S. version. That's
Yeah.
the only film of his that he's actually done, hey, I'm remaking it for America, because really, I mean, like, America is essentially who it's for anyway.
I mean, there's so
Like,
much
they're the
irony
audience.
in the fact that he remade the movie too. That's just another comment on
Yeah.
movies, which I love.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how we've mentioned him, like, every single podcast, but part of the reasons why he's one of my favorite directors is because, there's so much to say about his movies, and they apply in other conversations about film. And how we watch things and viewer expectations and presentation, et cetera, et cetera. Like he's always there's always something about him that's going to be relevant to a film conversation.
Yeah, like he's a guy who could be pretentious, but he's not because he always knows exactly what he's doing and what he's saying. People wish they were as good as him. I mean, even David Lynch makes some weird ass shit, but he always throws in comedy and like good performances and things to enjoy in his movies. Even his weirder ones are like, okay, this is keeping me going at least.
Sorry.
That's what I think of that.
Next question, I guess, unless anybody has anything else to ask.
Yeah.
Add?
Anything else, Alex?
I guess I'm just... Do you find that people kind of throw it around a little bit sometimes?
The word
Definitely.
pretentious, of
Willy-nilly.
course.
Yeah.
That's like the number one comment in like any of my top fucking movie videos,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what kind of just ruins the impact for me.
Exactly.
I try to not even use it ever to describe
yeah.
anything because it just
Unless
makes you
it
sound
really deserves it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or like that
I-
fucking the cremaster cycle. That
like
it seems like that's very much deserved there.
Yeah.
Just listening to the description of it, I'm like, oh my god. that's
Oh yeah.
pretentious.
Yeah, a lot of people throw that word onto things where I don't want to say like, oh, they just don't get it, but
No, but they
I
don't.
believe that they're
Yeah.
being I believe that they're
think
being
that's, like,
genuine in
smart.
how they feel the movie is. I believe that
Yeah.
most people that watch The Holy Mountain are going to think it's incredibly pretentious, even though I don't feel it is myself. And it just comes down to what you're familiar with in films. And I feel like the more used to formulated movies or a certain kind of movie or a certain kind of experience in a film, if you allow yourself to get really used to one particular thing and expect only one thing ever, I feel like you have a higher a much higher likelihood of considering something else pretentious.
Yeah, like take the guy who goes and sees Fast and Furious every year, and then show them The Lobster. What's the one word they're gonna use to describe it?
Exactly.
They're gonna say pretentious.
Yeah, it's like when Birdman won the Oscar and all these normies decided to watch it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
see the
get
Amazon
it.
reviews. Be like, this is the worst movie I've ever fucking seen.
I thought it was a new Marvel movie.
Yeah. Yeah, people thought it was actually a superhero movie, which is amazing and adds more to the points of the film, etc. Like, that's hilarious.
Birdman's barely in it.
Yeah. I thought I was seeing Harvey Birdman.
All right.
Next
I guess
question?
I'm doing the next one, right?
Yeah, I don't have any.
Yeah,
so-
boy.
This one's from Mr. Bump 465.
Mm.
Out of all your movie reviews, have you ever rewatched a movie and felt you were initially too harsh on it or too easy on it?
Yes. I think in my quickie for The Dark Knight Rises, I gave it an 8, but I think I would rather give it a 6 at this point.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah, maybe a 7. I don't know. Fuck. I literally haven't seen it since I saw it in the theaters, and that kind of adds to just I'm not really eager to go check it out again. You know?
Some movies age poorly where you
Yeah.
think it's a 9 when you see it, and then over time you're like, I really have no urge to watch it again, so how good can it be? You know? You know, like an excellent movie, going back to Goodfellas, I could put that on any day, any
Yeah.
mood, and I'll love it.
Yeah.
Alex?
No. My answer is no.
No? You don't regret anything?
No, because I cover the worst shit that's released. You know, like so what if I was a bit too hard on fucking Laser Blast? Who gives a shit? Ralph,
man.
you go.
I can't even think of one. It's weird. I picked out these questions, and I'm like, oh, I'll answer them
Did you not
later.
think to
This
prepare an
happens.
answer for
This
the
has
questions?
happened last time too.
Uh-huh.
You chose questions that you don't have any answers to. You chose these.
Well, I'm like, oh, I'll think about the answer later.
And then you
I'm
don't.
scurrying through a list of shit right now. I don't know. Probably not. I think I'm just perfect. I think I don't have
that's
to
funny.
regret. I don't regret anything. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
well,
I do regret one. Cloverfield Paradox. I think I'd lower it to a 1.
okay.
That's it.
That's funny. That's
But no one gives a
hilarious.
shit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all my regrets would be like I gave bad movies a bad score, but I would probably lower them.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah.
You know what? Last Jedi, I think it's bad now. I'll give that a 4 or something.
Yeah.
Before.
The Dark Knight
Yeah.
Rises would be the highest, the biggest shift in terms of like my number rating from an 8 to a 6.
Yeah.
I don't think there's always been points where I've, kind of moved things around or considered something better or worse than I used to, but it's usually like just by a point and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Like little things.
Yeah. There's
Over time, you realize a movie's one of your favorites.
Yeah, and I
stuff
mean,
like that.
I think that I've become I've kind of valued certain things a little differently as time has gone on too. So a lot of dumb fun movies that I really enjoyed just completely subjectively I would rate a lot higher before, but now I'm kind of like, as much as I enjoyed it, there's some glaring issues with it that would prevent a lot of others from enjoying it, and I can understand why,
Do you ever stumble across, like on IMDb, like when you had it, ratings of something you've rated years ago, and you see what you'd given it, and you're like, oh, I would not think that now.
My IMDb account is like 11 or 12 years old, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of shit like that, which is so funny because like anybody who wants to try and discredit me or anybody who hates me online is like, look at all these ratings that he gave on IMDb. I'm like, I was like, what? I was like 16. Fuck off. like I'm not gonna go through every single one of my ratings and change them just so you're gonna stop calling me out. There's people that share my favorite movies list. They're like, look at there's no old movies on here. It's like, well that was updated in like 2013, 2014 last or something. Like that doesn't even reflect my current favorite movies. And even so, it's like, what is the word favorite?
Yeah.
I'm not saying the best movies. I'm saying my favorite. Anyway.
My boy Oeb says, that's his name. I didn't call him that. Hey, considering what types of movies and games you like, I want to ask what type of music you guys are into and what are some of your favorite artists?
Take it away.
I'll go first because mine's the least dense. I just listen to whatever music I hear in movies and I put it on my iPod, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
I like Sun Lux. I like Kanye West. Yeah, I think that's about it. Trent Reznor. Nine Inch Nails. Those are the three I usually go to. But yeah,
Adam?
it's a pretty dense library of many different things that I've heard in movies, and that's about it.
I've recently started listening to a band called An Unkindness that I don't know, like the music's fine, I guess, but I hear the lead singer is kind of a faggot, so
Oh yeah, I hear he's a little furry. I'm like, I don't know about that.
not little.
That's no good.
Not a little.
Yeah. No, my favorite band is Bright Eyes. I love Bright Eyes. Just, even the solo material that Connor Oberst wound up doing after the fact still doesn't resonate with me as much as what he was doing with Mike Mogus. And the composition, chord progression, and especially the lyricism, very, very biting and personal and like painful in ways that I relate to, that will always make the band a very important one for me. Aside from that, some of my favorite artists, I really love early Eminem. So between his demo shit all the way up to probably the 8 Mile soundtrack, and then after that, nothing really. But yeah, those albums are amazing. I can return to them every months to year or whatever. I really love the band Two Gallants, TWO space GALLANTS. I think they're severely underrated. There's like nobody that shows up to their shows, and I love them a lot. There's some older stuff from Joanna Newsom, although I haven't been keeping up with her as recently. There's a few albums from Regina Spektor that I really love. I really love the 2 albums by Gnarls Barkley. I love the Cross album by Justice. I'm not stuck in one genre. I love a variety of music. Usually just a combination of chord progression and composition versus the lyricism is what makes things important.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess I'll round us off then.
Yeah, boy.
I just chose my favorite album from a few of my favorite artists, so people can kind of get a rough idea. So Remain in Light by the Talking Heads, Sound of Silver by LCD Sound System, Demon Days by Gorillaz.
That's a great one.
Discovery by Daft Punk. I couldn't decide between Animals or The Wall for Pink Floyd.
Just throw them both.
Yeah, fuck it, both. Music of the Spheres by Ian Brown, Lonerism by Tame Impala, and This Old Dog by Mike DeMarco. And let's end with Roosevelt by Roosevelt.
Nice. I want to throw in the album Illinois by Sufjan Stevens, and also the album Carrie and Lowell. So Sufjan Stevens is the guy that wrote the soundtrack to Call Me By Your Name and lost at the Oscars and upset me.
Well, Coco was better, dude.
Fuck yeah!
My favorite album is the Coco soundtrack.
I've seen the film and I can't even remember it. The song.
Yeah.
That's basically what Coco was.
All right.
I just played a clip from the movie. I didn't do anything else.
Oh.
And that's the Q&A, everybody.
We did it.
Good job.
We made it.
Woo!
Holy fuck.
Is it time for the movie recommendation?
Yes, I believe
I'm
it
curious
is.
about this one.
Ooh.
By
I'm
curious.
excited. I kind of wanted to combine the themes of you two. So Alex kind of picked a very British movie, so I'm going to pick a very American movie.
Yeah.
And you, Adam, you picked some weird ass fucking weird movie. So I wanted to pick a weird ass weird movie.
Great.
So hold on, pulling it up here. Perfect. Okay, so the film I picked for you guys to watch, you've probably seen it. I'm guessing one of you has at least. Is Wild at Heart from 1990, directed by David Lynch.
You know what?
What?
I've been meaning to get into more earlier Lynch films, and I haven't seen it yet, so
Ooh.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's in my watch list.
It's on my watch
but I've never
list.
seen it.
Nice.
Hell yeah!
Got another one.
Cage and
Perfect.
Laura Dern.
Nicolas Cage, Laura Dern. It's a wonderful cross-country movie. It's about the American dream. It's hilarious
Nice.
and
I'm
weird.
excited.
It's
Yeah, this
beautiful.
is great.
Nice.
It is
Awesome.
great.
Good
And
pick.
It'll help you guys get into David Lynch because there are some of our fans who have not seen any David Lynch, and I think this is one of his less weird ones. I mean, it's still fucking weird.
Very
but
interesting.
It's more accessible So I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll talk about it.
Everybody, if you'll have 2 weeks before the next episode airs. Check out the movie because we're going to be having a spoilery discussion on Wild at Heart, directed by David Lynch, 1990. So
it won the Palme d'Or.
Palme d'Or.
What is it called? How do you say it?
Well, I'm going to try and do it the best I can. The Palme d'Or.
Palme d'Or. It won the Palme d'Or, everybody.
Palme d'Or.
The Palme d'Or.
It won the Palme d'Or. Or at least I think it did.
The Papa Dom.
Palme d'Or. It says French is fucking weird, man. You gotta
I'm not even gonna try.
In some instances.
Dude, Nicolas Cage has some of his best moments in this movie.
Perfect. I cannot fucking wait.
Awesome.
Good pick.
It's great.
Good pick.
And it's not 6 hours long.
So yeah, I guess that about concludes this episode of Sardonicast. We had some fun times. We shared our stories. We laughed. We cried. We made a lot of progress. Yif won at the Oscars. Ralph came out of the closet again. So we'll see you next.
That didn't happen, but okay.
Well, okay. Well, there's a Twitch clip saying otherwise, but okay. If you want to go back in, all right.
Any last words?
Well, yeah. If you want to support us, check out our individual channels. They are linked in the description. Some of us have Patreons. There should be a link for something else that I mentioned at the beginning. I don't remember that other channel you recommended. Whatever. There's always we'll throw in some links in the description for other things that we mentioned, I guess. So we will see you next week. Did I forget anything?
No.
Last
words, Alex?
No.
Adam? No. I just want to say I highly recommend the movie Bob. Great channel.
Oh fuck. Well,
you did it.
Goodbye.
Play us out,
everybody.
Yeah.
Woo!
Do your best Cockney accent and sing along. All right, Governor.
I'm from
Bye,
Britain.
everybody. Bye.